Tonight on Debate Amongst Friends, finally the return of Senor October to discuss MLB news, including the post-trade deadline impact, playoffs, and the release of the 2018 opening day schedule. NFL Week 1 quickfire recap, some movers and shakers in the college football AP poll, NBA news, including the return of Starberry, and the WWE news, including the Mae Young Classic finale and the weekly review and more, starting now.
Ladies and gentlemen of the internet, welcome to Debate Amongst Friends, episode 71 on September 13th, 2017. I'm no evil Morty, but I'm pretty genius himself. I am the Professor John Gotti, and always by my side, he is the jabroni beating, reality dose giving, most electrifying man ever. It is the Doc. How are you doing tonight, sir?
Doing great tonight, and I'm so glad we got two guests on tonight. So without further ado, the Doc brings on the Duke, the return of Senor October has got the people buzzing. What's going on, gentlemen?
Hey, what is up?
What's going on, guys?
Nothing but sports, friends. Nothing but sports. Because through it all, we've been through Rick and Morty. I'm hoping that the people got a chance to listen to the Professor and the Duke go over Rick and Morty. And then I'm hoping that people tune in continuously every week. But I know we got a lot of things to cover. So let's jump right into the MLB. Shall we?
Let's do it.
Bobby.
Oh gosh, I can't. I knew you was gonna say Bobby at the end. I was trying to stop you from saying Bobby.
Sorry, man.
Goodness.
I should have never lifted those weights. I should have never lifted those weights. Who put those weights in my hands? Oh, yeah.
Who gave him weights? Who gave it to him? It
I
was
think it's the
me.
caffeine. I don't think it's the weights.
I don't know, but whatever it is, it's hitting me like a ton of bricks. But let's go.
All right, the Major League Baseball released their 2018 opening day schedule, and this is why it's significant. We will have every MLB team playing on this day. It hasn't happened in a very long time. So I want to get the people want to get our panel's reaction to it. Let's start off with Senor Octubre.
I think it's a long time coming. I think it's about time. Instead of trying to piecemeal it over several days on the schedule. I mean, this is going to be the first time since 1968 that every single team will be playing on within one 24-hour period. So it's going to be really exciting. And the fact that it's on a Thursday, if people want to have a extra long weekend, they can take a half day Thursday, take off from work Friday, and it'll be a nice weekend of baseball. But I think it's very significant, especially with with the new commissioner and as we saw this season, they're trying to be a little bit more fan friendly, break up some of the not all the tradition which baseball centered around, but trying to just add some spice to it, and definitely having an opening day where it's an event like it always was supposed to be, like it always used to be. I think it's going to be great.
Why do you think they moved away from this? Like, I mean, I would expect, college football to not have every team play. I mean, obviously it's like a million college football teams. I would expect, the NFL to kind of stagger it, give them a little bit of football so that they'll be yearning more for Sunday, but I mean, baseball is one of them sports where it's like there is no set day. It's like every day can be baseball if they really
Right.
wanted to, which a lot of times every day is baseball. So I mean, why do you think
Right.
they've held us hostage of not allowing baseball to reign free on one day being opening day?
To be honest with you, I really don't know. I don't know what the reasoning was. I mean, and this is obvious. It's hasn't been this way since '68, so it kind of was the de facto norm for 40 plus years. Um, but I think that it's actually really good considering that baseball doesn't, it doesn't need to drip and drab out. It's already a very long season. So if you get every team on board and every team has their opening day on the same day, it makes it feel like a bigger event. It makes it feel like with all 30 teams doing it, that entire day is just belongs to baseball. And well, yes, during the long season, just about every day there's a baseball game, but only in the middle of summer is baseball really the only sport being played most days. Now Major League Soccer and Major League Baseball kind of run concurrently, but in the beginning of the season, at the end of the season, it's competing with football, hockey, basketball. So for baseball to have all its games on one day to be like a huge kickoff for the season, I for me, I think it's a really good idea.
It's
I
funny
can't
that you
wait.
mention it. So you basically said you didn't really understand why this happened. And one of the first things that, I initially think about when it comes to, spreading stuff around over a course of time versus
Hmm.
having everything at once is the greens. You want to make more money?
Right,
What's a great way to make more money? Have people, well, two reasons. One, it's always about the money. But two,
right,
you also have to think about the factor of having the spectators becoming exhausted to watch so many games happening at the same time. You don't really
right.
get that kind of issue with college basketball because you can just literally flip through and it's always really, really exciting. But with baseball, it's a little bit more slower pace, really methodical.
Right.
How each inning approaches. So, I mean, what do you think?
Oh, it's with that respect, it like you said, baseball is it's more of a game of anticipation. It's not constant action, but it's you're anticipating moments, and it's a game of patience. But baseball has always tried to be very traditional. They've always tried like baseball's never tried to do anything like the Super Bowl. They've
Yes.
never tried to do like a huge one day spectacle that's for the entire league. And, they never really tried to own a day. And while, yes, every individual team would have its opening day, the fact that all of them would be on one day,
Hmm.
and the fact that no matter what market you're in or what stadium you're in, whether it's at 1 p.m., 4 p.m., 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, or a West Coast game on the East Coast being at 10 o'clock, you can have four games going on concurrently, staggered throughout the whole day.
Yes.
So I think it's kind of baseball's attempt at making one day an event, kind of what other sports have done. I mean, aside from the All Star game, baseball's always played in series, so it's not like soccer, it's not like football where it's just like a one off single elimination, you lose, that's it. So the fact that they're actually going towards, hey, we're going to make opening day a continent wide event. We're going to make it an event for all of North America. I think it's pretty bold.
Absolutely. We
I'm
didn't
actually
even get a
pretty
chance to
excited
actually
about it.
hear anything from the Duke. Do you have anything you want to say about this one before we move on?
You already know my stance on most things. I think at the end of the day, it'll be, or a lot of people will be looking at the money generated by this.
Hmm.
Um, with series like the MLB League Passes and um, kind of pay to view streaming content, they're going to rake in just on this one day alone. Not
Yeah,
many people, if anyone, are going to be able to watch all games all day. So what do? Now you just on those streaming services replay them. throughout the
Right.
next couple of days until the next series of games start. So, I mean, I think that the initial push probably was for the fans. It probably was, to like October was saying, to try and own something. But I think what it may end up being is that kind of cash grab. Oh, okay, this worked out this time. Let's see how many more times you can do it if the season's coming up.
Absolutely.
That's a good point.
And I guess for me, it's not really about the people watching at home. I think it's more going to be for the people who are at the actual stadiums. Think about how many people are going to get a chance to go see baseball, where if they do this every year, that becomes a new tradition within itself. Hey,
Right.
this is baseball day. So it's like you said, like people are going to take off the day. Kids are going to miss school.
Yep.
People are going to go out there. They're going to, rally. They're going to do their pre-games, their tailgating parties, grab their peanuts
And yeah, Cracker Jacks.
and Cracker Jacks, and go out there to the old ballpark. And I mean, I don't know. The last time I went to a baseball game was in Dominican Republic, so I don't know if I can sit to another game because it is kind of rough to sit there, and it does go a little quicker when you're there than on TV. But as Senor October knows, October is when it heats up.
Well,
Absolutely.
and I mean, again, to even add to that point, a lot of it too is kind of the revitalization of baseball.
Yes.
Because you had a very good point of not a lot of people still go, at least not to every game.
Right.
Right.
You hit certain games throughout the season if your team is playing another team that you think they will have a good game against.
Mhm.
So I
Right.
think events like this kind of also help to put butts in seats and get the stands filled.
True.
Yeah, absolutely.
So I mean, I don't know. I'm looking forward to it. I'm glad they're giving it a go. And who knows? Like I said, this could be the new tradition in baseball, where hey, opening day is the biggest day, not only for business, but really for baseball.
Yeah.
Right.
Set the tone for the rest of the season.
And we don't mean
Yeah,
sudden
and-
death.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Now, in respect to all of this, what about the next games? Do they just go back to series play, I guess?
What with regards to
After
you mean, like-
opening, yeah, like after
Oh,
opening day, like do they just does everybody just travel around the world and go on to the next game? You know what I mean? Like that's what I would do. Like, what happens after this? Like, does this opening day become a series, or do
Oh
they?
yeah,
like,
I mean, yeah, it'll just be the kickoff. So let's say the Yankees are playing the Indians on
Mhm.
opening day, then that's the first of a 3-game set, and the season just kicks off as normal.
Got it? Because I mean, that would be kind of ridiculous if they would play that game and then have to leave.
Yeah.
Everybody has to jump on a plane or a bus and go somewhere else. That would be kind of crazy.
That would make for some interesting travel arrangements.
Absolutely. But I mean, I'm looking forward to it. I'm hoping that we get a chance to get some good baseball games in, and you never know. I mean, maybe Debate Amongst Friends will be represented at some said games.
That'd be terrific.
Terrific.
Which
absolutely-
apparently, you can definitely get the Debate Among Friends gear on teesprings.com. Make sure you go to teesprings.com/store/Debate Among Friends.
Swag.
Now, obviously, we do have some other topics here that we definitely want to get into. Given that October, it's almost October, so we want to make sure that we get these topics covered because we have missed some time, and the people wanted to know these things before we get to the playoffs.
Playoffs.
Don't talk about playoffs yet. How has the trade deadline moves impacted the season, in your opinion, thus far?
I think, the one thing that pops out to my mind is the Cleveland Indians and their historic run where today they just tied, they own now the American League record 21 straight wins but now they're tied with the 1935 Chicago Cubs for most wins since 1900 for the longest winning streak. So in that respect, the acquisition of Jay Bruce from the Mets, that was absolutely huge for them, especially for their home stretch push. In regards to the Yankees, I think Sonny Gray was a great pickup. It's a shame he doesn't get more run support when he pitches. But I think he has a 3.5 record since he got to the Yankees. But his ERA is like 2.7. So, he's not giving up a lot of runs, but he doesn't get a lot of help when he pitches, unfortunately.
Got it. Now, I will say this with the Indians' run, I do know that the movie, I guess the team, the Oakland A's, came to mind with the Moneyball. Obviously,
Correct.
that was the team that they passed first. And many people might not know this, but the Doc has always been an Indians fan. I mean, we're talking about since Vaughn.
Give me Vaughn. Rick
Jimmy
Vaughn?
Vaughn. No,
Jimmy
no,
Vaughn.
Wait. And not only that, but one of his favorite grenades in Borderlands 2.
the fastball.
So
Give him the heater, Ricky. I mean, but no, seriously. I mean, since the days of Kenny Lofton and Manny Ramirez, it's just baseball is so long, it's hard to keep up with. So to hear that the Indians are doing good, that's great. Because obviously I've basically just followed Big Papi around, really, because that's the person that I know. You know what I mean? So. It's interesting that you say that the Yankees made some moves. I feel like there were a few other moves that might have made some differences, but any teams other than those two that jump out to you that made last-minute moves, or even just before the trade deadline?
Aside from Cleveland, Houston made a few acquisitions. Seattle made one or two to try and push them over the top because at the time they were still kind of in the wild card race, but they fell by the wayside. There's not really, I mean, I'm looking right now, there's not really too many that have been really consequential.
one of them that definitely comes to mind since I'm out here in Texas and they talk about it all the time was the Yu Darvish trade
I was about to bring that
to
up too.
the Dodgers.
Yeah.
And they was
Yeah, that's
basically
a good
calling
point.
him a dumpster fire because the Dodgers are suffering since they acquired him. Meanwhile, I believe they said that the Texans received like their top 5 prospects from the Dodgers.
Prospects are so rough.
Especially in baseball because you're not really sure who's going to pan out. It's not like in other sports where there's usually one guy or one standout and you could say, okay, unequivocally this guy is going to be, the next great player. With baseball, you have guys that go through the minors and they're studs and they get to the show and it just doesn't translate.
Yep.
And not to bring it up again, but I mean, even in the movie Moneyball, Billy Bean was supposed to be that prospect.
Right.
And he turned out to not be so good. And people were telling him to go to college and so on and so forth. I mean, that's where it's kind of rough with sports like baseball and hockey. I would say more hockey than baseball because baseball usually have the whole farming system in the AAA, whatever. I know I tried this.
Okay. Let's have Doc Ocean help him out with this real quickly.
Yes.
Help him out. Help him understand the farming system. Tell him what are the rankings from the majors down to the minors. Give him all that info.
Please, because I mean, I butchered it. I think I was trying to make an analogy, and I was like, it's like the WWE stars are coming from the Indies and they're going to the AA.
So basically, what you have with affiliated baseball, you have from the majors it goes AAA, AA, Single A, and then short season Single A.
Short season Single A. Wow.
Yeah. So
full.
Basically, a guy will get drafted, and depending on his skill level out of college or high school, if he's above average, they'll put him in AA, and he can work his way up. AAA is usually where guys, like if they're coming back from injury, they'll send them down to AAA or AA, or actually whichever affiliate's closer, but it's usually the AAA affiliate. They'll send them there, do some rehab, and bring them up. And or if they have some good young guys like the Yankees have done a few times this year, with some of their pitchers and some of their position players. If they had too much room, if they didn't have enough room on the roster, they'd send them to AAA, let them put some time in there, get some more work, and then bring them back up and send somebody else down.
Hmm.
Single A ball is usually you're like really rough around the edges. You need a lot of polish, and once you kind of go through the grind of single A, then you can move up to double A, and double A is kind of like baseball purgatory.
Oh goodness!
Because
you really got to shine.
Yeah, because like double A, you can be good. Like you could be a stud in double A, and you could still go to triple A and just fall flat on your face and go back down to double A. I mean, there's guys this has happened to all the time, and usually your career minor leaguers will be somewhere between triple and double A. They'll just kind of keep bouncing around there, and they can never really break that ceiling for whatever reason. So that's really the breakdown. Short season A ball. That's like you got a kid out of high school, so you're going to put him in there for a while, and then as he matures, then he'll work his way up the ladder.
Got it.
And
yeah,
then,
because I was
and
sitting
then,
there, I mean, butchering this system. I promise you, I was butchering it.
and then you have the independent leagues, which like the Atlantic League here on the East Coast, and they actually do have a team down in Texas, but
Would
they're
that be like the North Bears kind of thing?
well, yes, the late great Newark Bears, but yeah, like you have the Sugarland Skeeters in Texas, you have the Somerset Patriots, New Jersey,
Somerset Patriots, okay.
you have the Bridgeport Bluefish, you have the New Britain Bees, but they're considered, even though they're independent, they're considered to be just equal with AAA ball, and they're considered the highest you can go playing non-affiliated ball.
Because I know the Patriots get a lot of love in Somerset. I remember that. I never been to a game, but they get a lot of love. I almost went to a few Newark Bears games because I worked downtown Newark at that time. But they get a lot of love in Somerset.
I've been going to a lot of the games, and they pack the house nightly. Like nightly, it'll be a capacity crowd. And I think since they started back in, I want to say 98, they've had over 6 million fans come see them. So, and I mean, and they're the most successful team in the Atlantic. They've won like 6 titles.
Yeah, they're definitely well supported. I will say that I've been in a position where I've heard the crowds. Of course, I didn't go in to the stadium. Probably could have watched it from the parking deck, but I was like, nah, I'm not going to be that ghetto person to sit up here and watch the parking deck. But I could. No, that's excellent. That is excellent. And just, of course, working through it here. Baseball, I mean, is something that I wish I would have tried to play, but I mean, that's another story, neither here nor there. We're getting close to the playoffs now. They're starting to run the commercials for October. Has any of these moves outside of the Cleveland Indians? I mean, has any of these moves put another team in the, we're going to deem it the October watch list, where this team here could be the team to win it all? No, non-biased. I mean, my God, this team could shock the world.
Chris, make sure you trademark that for us. Good.
I don't know. It's been a while since the trade deadline. But in terms of teams positioning themselves for the playoffs, the Dodgers, who initially looked like they were just going to run away and hide, I mean, they were blowing teams away, and it was almost like nobody was even competitive against them. They've struggled. I mean, they just got swept by the San Diego Padres, and the Arizona Diamondbacks have been serious contenders. They've been challenging them all year, the Colorado Rockies. So, no one's really – everybody early on really thought the Dodgers were a lock to win it all. The Dodgers were going to bring the title to L.A. Now, if you look around the league, the cream's rising to the top. The Cleveland Indians blew past the Houston Astros. The Houston Astros were basically the Dodgers of the American League. They were running away with the American League in hiding. But they've struggled, and now the Indians have passed them by for the best record. In the American League East, it's going to be a dogfight to the last day of the season, I think.
Now,
The
Lori,
Yankees and the Red Sox, they don't play each other for the rest of the season, but you have an interesting case where, you know, the Indians, they pretty much have it locked up. I mean, they're going to compete for the top spot in the league, but they're going to play the Red Sox. Now, are they going to really give the Red Sox everything they have because they want to fight for that best record, which in that case that may help the Yankees out? You know, it's going to be a lot of teams are down the stretch that usually where it's a team that's out of it, that's playing the teams that are just trying to close out the season. You have the schedules worked out in such a way. You have teams that are all in it, and they're going to be beating on each other down the stretch for the last 15 games. And you're going to see those standings really start to shuffle.
and it's interesting because I mean we're looking at some teams that, you know, just looking at it. And of course, I haven't followed these games, and this is a lot of games. I mean, it's a lot of baseball games, but we're looking at teams here where next year I'm going to go on a limb and say that we're going to have more teams breaking 100 wins by this point with the way baseball is kind of moving. Because, I mean, we're looking at the Dodgers, the Nationals, the Indians, and the Astros. I think Houston Astros. Astros. All over 85 wins, some over 90 wins. So, I mean, like you said, the cream at the top is starting to look like, hey, there's some dynasties being built.
Yeah, and it's getting crowded. I mean, it's getting crowded at the top because who would have thought Minnesota would be competing for the wild card at the start of the season? And they're right there holding down the second wild card spot.
Yeah.
And the Angels are there. The Rangers are there. Kansas City, Seattle. I mean, you can literally go from Toronto to LA, and that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. That's 7 teams, all within 7, and all within 7 games of each other, competing for that last spot. And the Yankees, I mean, they're going to try and get to the division, but the Red Sox, if the Red Sox just keep thumbing them, then the Yankees are going to have to hold off all these guys, and they're going to have to win just about every game down the stretch.
Yep. I mean, but the plus side with the Yankees, if
you end up losing 4 out of 6, you're done.
No, this is true, but I guess one thing that helps them out is I believe they said 13 of their next games is going to be at home.
True.
Yes, they got very fortunate, and just to hit on, unfortunately, what happened down in Florida, Tampa Bay had to play their home games at Citi Field, and logistically it worked for both teams, but the Yankees caught a break because, yeah, they were playing at Citi Field as a neutral site, but hey, they were sleeping in their beds.
Yeah, that's a big difference.
Where they were going to have 6 games on the road down the stretch, now only have 3.
True.
The rest of they're playing all their games in the Bronx, and I want to say they're like 40-27 at home.
Mm-hmm.
So that's a big advantage for the Yankees coming down the stretch.
Yeah, it's a big deal.
Oh, absolutely. And I mean, this is fun. I mean, when Major League Baseball moved to the where the wild card teams played a 1-game playoff, at first I thought it was kind of gimmicky, but it really has added pressure now. Before, teams were just like, oh, you know what? Hey, if we hang on to win the wild card, no big deal. It's just as good as winning the division. There was no penalty to winning the wild card. Now, if you just wind up being the wild card team, your entire 7-month season comes down to 1 game.
Yes.
Yep.
And if your pitcher's off, or your fielder's making errors, that's it.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of brings in what football has had for so long, where so many big games are down to 1 day. Baseball has brought a little bit of that into their mix, and it's proven wildly successful.
I mean, this is the last game of the season, Brett. There's no holding back.
Oh no, you did not just go there.
Oh, jeez.
I know. You know, I mean, this is it. I love that though, because again, I think that wild card is what October is all about.
I
mean, we're talking about the boyhood dream that became a reality in one night. to play under the big stage of the chase for the pennant, where big names are made,
Legends are
championships
made.
are won, champagne baths with goggles, and yelling and screaming.
Not the goggles.
I would have
Well,
loved to do
not
that.
everyone wears goggles, but yes.
I would love to do that one
Some
day.
people like the burn.
What a team building experience that would be, to be in a room with some cheap champagne with goggles on, because I don't want that in my eye.
I don't
And
think that's cheap
just-
champagne, though.
Well, I'm saying for us. It would
Oh,
be
I'm
cheap
like, I
champagne.
don't think that's cheap champagne at all.
You're making $100 million a year. It's nothing to you.
Yeah.
All brute and the cheapest stuff you can find, and we just go all over the place. It would be great.
You know what? You know what we'll do then? What we'll do is, if we decide to do a speed run and we all manage to collectively break a world record, we will do that. Here, hit first, ladies and gentlemen. Debates Among Friends will do a champagne celebration.
Can we do it in a brothel? Like, that's my idea of team building.
Oh,
My man, pots and pans.
where is Helen when you need her?
Oh goodness! It's like, yeah,
That sounds
everyone,
like Aaron,
everyone, be
so-
happy.
She's
We got
good.
champagne, yay! But Scott said we can only get one bottle. No.
Oh my God, because we're at a brothel.
Oh my goodness. Going off the
Yeah,
rails.
I mean, it's okay though. We only have one bottle because we have to spend the rest of the money on the entry fee to get in. So
This is true.
Never charge it.
But no, this is great though. I mean, like I said, this is actually getting me excited for baseball. And as I said last year, and I'm trying to, and we're going to get into college football later, but trying to watch more college football games. I'll try to watch more college basketball games. But I think next year I'm going to make it a point to really try to watch a baseball game or two every once in a while so I can get my October on.
Mr. October approves.
Yeah, I just want to make sure because, I mean, we're sports guys. I mean, I'm not going to sit around and potentially watch hockey. That might be going a little too far.
No, if you're gonna watch hockey, you better go to a game. If you really
Yeah,
want a
I
fun
actually will
experience.
co-sign with that one. It's better to go there live than to watch it on TV.
Because,
Yeah.
I mean, there is a team here in North Carolina, of course, that I could easily go and watch.
Yeah, the Carolina Hurricanes, right?
Yeah, we're like,
Yeesh.
yeah, exactly.
I'm sorry, did I say that out loud?
It's like 10 minutes away, but I mean, if they're playing somebody better, of course,
I mean, if the way that
I mean,
Senior October
they're-
making it
they're
sound,
30
they sound like
games.
they suck. So who knows? Maybe you
Wow.
get some ringside.
shots fired all.
Maybe you
Is it
maybe
that
you
bad?
get some close
Is it that-
seats. For like
Listen,
15
listen,
bucks.
I can't talk. My Devils have been in rebuilding mode for 5 years, but the Carolina Hurricanes had a brutal season last year.
It sounds like they need to hire me.
They do. Every
need to
team
hire-
needs to hire the
to
doc.
bring them out of the rut that they're in.
We shall make a call to Gary Bettman and see what he can do.
I see
I'm
what you
gonna do
did there.
that right.
That's coming in there giving everybody epinephrine and cortisone cocktails.
And doses of reality.
Lacing a little bit of cocaine just for that extra kick.
Oh
I
God, let's
can't.
go.
Steve,
This guy.
Steve, if we can get started on that for the doc, good. Okay, he got you. He got you.
That would be interesting.
Steve,
But
Steve
no,
always
that's
holding
all
it down for everyone.
Absolutely. But I mean, that's definitely it. I mean, I look forward to playoff baseball more than anything because, I mean, October is where it's at. I mean, we're talking
Oh.
about 40 something games,
60, 62.
62, yeah.
62 games, all
Yep.
coming down to potentially a 4-game series.
Yep, best
And
of
that's what's
7.
heartbreaking about it when you lose a series in the playoffs is that you played for almost half a year and your entire future now comes down to 3 or 4 games. I mean, it's nerve-wracking. It's really
Yes.
nerve-wracking.
This is what I'll say, as someone who, and I don't know who else has had opportunity to coach football, or any sport, but it's like that's how it is with all sports, and it's so crazy. And of course, we probably would have to have a whole sit down one day with people who coach, and really, it's anything that you've trained
Mm-hmm.
hard for. You spent
agree.
days, you sacrifice, you missed appointments, parties, whatever it is, to be there And now we had a conversation about people retiring from other sports early. And it's like when you're putting your mind and your body, when people say, hey, I don't know if I could do another season, I couldn't imagine playing 162 games for 20 years, bro.
Yeah.
20 years?
And a lot of people
Every
done it.
day for 6 months.
Hey, 6 months for 20 years, man. Because baseball
That's
lasts a long time.
that's why I would say baseball's a grind. It is a grind. Like, yeah, it's not physical, but you see why these guys when they get hurt, it's like a joint or it's a wrist or it's a ligament because you're repeating the same motion every single day for 6 months, and you'll play 20 straight games and then have one day off, and then you'll play 15 straight games, have one day off, then you play another 20. It's a grind, baseball.
I mean, we're talking about 160 games, 20 years with bubble gum and sunflower seeds, bro.
Come on, you got to give them something.
I
They
love
can't
sunflower
start to
seeds.
get more breaks.
They can't take steroids anymore.
Nope.
Right. I love sunflower seeds though, so that's another reason why I don't know why I never jumped in. Like sunflower.
Epinephrine and cortisone, dude.
Yeah, like I would have fit
Yep.
right in. Like I loved sunflower seeds. But I mean 20 years, 100, I mean,
It's rough.
I don't even know.
It's rough. And for many of them, it pays off at the end.
Of course. And I mean, they don't have to, I mean, hopefully, God forbid, they don't have to worry about like CTE and stuff like that. You know what I mean? They might have to just
Yeah.
worry about arthritis and things like that. But I mean, their brains should be functioning fine, of course, hopefully. That's a
Yep.
study that hasn't been conducted yet, I'm sure. But they can't change the game of baseball. Please don't change the game of baseball because we just said that. But any teams out there, do you feel that just could take it? I mean, any dark horses that, like, hey, let's say if the Minnesota Twins get in there, like, are they
That
beating-
actually would be my dark horse for the American League. They've been quietly just going about it. They're like content with getting the wild card because the Twins haven't really been a threat for quite a few years now. I mean, I think 2009 was the last time they were in it, and the Yankees knocked them out, if I remember correctly. But to be honest with you, they've just been doing it quietly. They've got good pitching, and they have a ton of speed on that team. I mean, that team is fast. So if they make it into the playoffs and they go up against a team that goes station to station and their whole game plan is just to run around the bases like crazy, they can really pose an upset. So yeah, I think, and to be honest with you, I also think the Diamondbacks. Everybody's kind of sleeping on the Diamondbacks, but the Diamondbacks are another like bubble team fighting for the wild card. The Diamondbacks, and especially the Diamondbacks, have given the Dodgers a hard time. So the Dodgers, which for most of the season were favorites to make it to the World Series, if not win the whole damn thing, if they get in a matchup with the Diamondbacks, that could be flipped on its head. So there's a lot of interesting matchups that if they come to pass, it'll be fun. I mean, it's not fun if you're rooting for one of those teams because it's nothing but anxiety for for either a one-day wild card game or a 7-game series. But it's fun. If you don't have a horse in the fight, or if your team gets knocked out, or your team's not playing that night, it's fun, and it should be really enjoyable to watch. And it's nice to see a lot of parity in baseball. You're seeing a lot of teams that are not really household names, like the Rockies, the Diamondbacks, the Twins, and you're seeing them really make pushes. Even the Astros. I mean, the Astros, after the Killer Bee era, were really, they were really a non-issue. And now, for the last few years, driven by Jose Altuve, they've really thrown themselves into the mix. And, and to be honest with you, the city of Houston, shout out to Houston, they really could use something to cheer about. And the same thing goes for Florida, but unfortunately the Marlins and the Rays, the Rays could pose a wild card threat. But, it would be nice. It'd be nice to give those people something to cheer about.
Hey, go Bucks.
Yeah, there you go.
Speaking
You
of
see, You see how I skipped the Dolphins? Go
I
Bucks.
see. I see. What you
Yeah,
did there.
I saw that. I noticed
that. Speaking of which, let's transition over into the gridiron,
Yes,
Sweet.
and let's talk about the breaking news of today.
out of Houston.
Out of Houston, irony.
Oh, you need
Brian Cushing, the linebacker for the Houston Texans.
from New Jersey.
That's South Jersey.
No,
Poor
I don't.
Jersey.
I don't think that's it. No. No.
I mean,
No.
hey, we gotta accept it.
No.
We gotta accept it.
No. When stuff like
He's
this
one of the-
happens, we go.
He's one of those guys.
Well, he's from that part of New Jersey.
He is. He is. I think I want to say he went to Don Bosco.
I think so.
Ugh.
Yeah, exactly.
Let me give me a second. You guys keep talking. I'll tell you in a moment.
Yeah, I believe he did. I gotta look it up also, but
He
I
went to
believe
Bergen.
Wait,
he went to
Catholic.
Bergen
Wait, hold
Catholic.
on. Wait,
Yeah.
why are we
He did.
researching it? Would someone please call Chris to do some research?
I feel like if we call Chris, it just becomes a conundrum of attacks.
I think so
And-
too.
Yeah, that's why I was like, well, let me avoid Chris and let's just do it myself. But yeah, he went to Bergen Catholic, which is pretty much up there with they played against Don Bosco the year that he was about to leave.
Mm.
But second suspension for PEDs, which I don't know.
That
The
one
whole
hurts.
PED
It hurts.
The whole PED conversation is so interesting, though, because it could be anything. And I think we heard stories last year where, guys got suspended for PEDs because they ate a certain cut of beef in Mexico.
Yep.
You know what I mean? Like, there's so many different things that are, and I guess that's where it gets kind of rough in sports with PEDs, because it's not like you're purposely taking something, at least to our knowledge, that, I mean, we're talking about your career here.
Livelihood, money.
I mean, you look at people like Doug Martin. Doug Martin, I think ADHD, he took some medication. He's suspended for 4 games. I think, what was his name? The player from the Steelers is coming back from suspension from substance abuse. Willie
Martavis
Sneed.
Bryant?
Martavius Bryant, yes. Willie Sneed from the Saints, which they needed so badly, which we're going to talk about when we get there. But somebody please get them some touchdowns on the board. Please. But yeah, they needed the help. But PEDs is such a big topic. It's going to be so interesting to see how they start implementing hemp and marijuana into the mix here, because
Yes.
typically that's kind of what it's all about, the ganja.
The ganja root.
I don't know if I don't know if marijuana is a performance-enhancing drug unless there's like a giant bowl of Cheerios on the field or in the end zone or something.
I see what you did there.
Oh my God, Justin! Wow. No, I don't know. I mean, apparently there's some people who believe, really deep down inside, that maybe it's the actual oils, I guess the different recreational uses for it. Obviously it's been known to stop seizures and stop a multitude of things. I just think that certain people use it, of course, I guess inappropriately or against its actual purpose.
Basically, they decided to become engineers.
Basically, yes. I mean, it probably started out great, and then somebody was like, "Wait a minute, I don't know about
You
this.
know what would make this better?
Is if we did this with it." Aha.
Aha.
Well, did he say what he got caught doing?
They didn't release that yet.
Yeah, they usually don't for at least some time.
And
usually,
for all we know, it could just be, a substance that, like the doc mentioned,
Right.
that he intake with food. Like, we don't know these things. Heck, there was even times where we see people get suspended, outside of the NFL for a substance that was banned, or it was part of a list that was just added. So it's really a grain of salt looking at this kind of news because they're not really divulging anymore. And there's even times where people got suspended where they even had a prescription for it, and it was approved, but the fact that they didn't hand it in, within a certain time frame. Exactly. So it's like, I can't really take that and go, oh goodness, his career is over kind of thing, because we don't know what exactly he did.
Well, that's the slippery slope that started with this. I mean, yeah, and baseball and football, and I'm sure in every other sport that there's always been guys that were taking drugs to get an edge. I mean, hell, baseball players used to take greenies back in the day to maintain focus. The trainers used to hand them out in bowls and just have them sitting in the clubhouse. And guys would just grab handfuls of them. But but this is the slippery slope that it goes down, where, just like you said, the player could have had something prescribed, could have been a supplement that he had taken for a while, and that something in the supplement had just showed up on the ban list at the beginning of the season. He got tested for it, or he got tested before it was officially announced. So it's a very slippery slope, and it's unfortunate. I mean, we have to wait to find out what he did, but it's really unfortunate if he did. It's especially unfortunate if he did something knowing it was supposed to give him an edge.
Exactly.
Right. And I guess the thing is, I was just listening to is, of course, he's not going to appeal. He's just going to kind of take it because he doesn't want to drag out the process and cost his team. But of course, it's one of those situations where, 10 games sounds like you did something rough. Like, but then again, this is his second offense.
Exactly, because he's a repeat offender.
So
I was about to say, this is like zero tolerance zone now.
But 4 games to 10? That's a lot of money. That's a lot of time off the field.
Yep.
This better have been worth it. Like,
but the problem, gotta be a deterrent, though.
But the problem with Brian Cushing is, like, he also has a bad history of injuries too.
He does.
So, like, that's what makes the situation even rougher.
Yeah, right. He does. He really does. That's rough, man. I don't know if 10 games is rough, and then you get the news that J.J. Watt has a dislocated finger. So, the Texas defense already hurting. They lost Vince Wilfork over the summer. So, that's rough.
Via retirement, which was actually, classy way for him to retire. Props to the Patriots for doing that.
Yeah, and I don't know. I just think that I hope that Brian Cushing goes to rehab if he needs rehab, or if he spends this 10-game suspension getting his body and mind right. Maybe he retires at the end of this year because he just can't take it anymore.
But the hope and anticipation is, the owner of the Texans, attack the situation like how the Cowboys did for Ezekiel Elliott.
Highly unlikely.
It's not going to happen, but I'm saying, like, that's the kind of thing that, you should expect, especially with a football state like Texas.
As far as appealing, or
like as far as defending and trying to appeal and things like that. So far,
he doesn't want to.
Maybe
he doesn't want to appeal.
Exactly.
He doesn't want to appeal. He was just like, man, I don't know, man. I ate some sushi, man. I don't know. Next thing I know, the pee guy is in the room, and I gotta pee in this cup now. So I don't know, man. Apparently, that's what happens. Like, they come and randomly just ask you to pee in a cup.
Hey, I need for you to pee in this cup real quick.
And I think the other thing to it too to kind of take into effect is, like you said before, the fact that he is a repeat offender. So even if this was an honest mistake, how much is it going to hurt his chances going forward, not only with this team, but if he decided that he wanted to go up for another trade, moving to another team? So that could have been another factor in choosing not to appeal it, that hopefully the news dies down quickly and, over time, everyone just forgets about this.
The only team he would be able to go to and get away with anything is probably the New England Patriots.
I see what you did there.
I think that too.
Come on. Where's he going? He ain't going nowhere but the New England Patriots. That's all he's going.
I
Patriots.
mean,
He'll
Tell
drop
me.
there.
I mean, that's it. I mean, I'm being honest. I mean, I like Cushing. I think he brings great tenacity to the game of football. Great tackler, great energy. I mean, he's the closest thing I would say we get to the spitting Bill Romanowski. But PEDs, this isn't that time.
Understandable. Well, gentlemen, here is our next segment. We're going to talk about week 1 of the NFL season, and we're going to try something new. We have all the games from week 1, and we're going to spend 3 minutes on every single game to give our thoughts and opinions about each game. Are you all ready?
I'm
Too bad
ready,
we're going.
friend.
Too bad we're going. First game, the opener, Chiefs versus Patriots. Chiefs won, much to the disdain of many Patriots fans, 42-27. Thoughts, gentlemen?
Shocking.
I- you know what? I'm gonna write it off as it being week 1 jitters. Maybe I don't know if this is any kind of sign as far as the Patriots that we will see this season, or the Chiefs that we will see this season. I think or not the finals. Jesus, the playoff predictions will be way off.
Yeah, because everybody has like the Packers and the Packers and the Patriots and Giants. I think I've only maybe one person picked the Raiders, but I was shocked. I mean, we're talking about 1 word, 3 minute, bullet fast, shocking. Like wow. I mean, with the addition of Brandon Cooks and Philip Dorsett, and shocking.
I don't know. I'm not. If I'm a Patriots fan, I'm not sweating it just yet. It's they've I think they've previously lost their first game of the season. I want to say it was like 3 or 4 times, and every one of those times they wound up winning the Super Bowl. So I mean, I know that's pretty thin, but still, it's week 1, and if I was a Patriots fan, listen, I got no love lost for the Patriots, but I don't know.
Even though your team beat them twice in the Super Bowl.
True, that's true.
Well, I mean,
you know-
here's my question, and I'm saying this not looking at previous stats, but have they lost this badly in week 1?
Yeah, because that was rough.
I believe
You're absolutely right.
last year they lost to the same team pretty badly.
But honestly, though, I mean, they scored 20-something points. Their defense isn't going to give up 40-something points per game. So, I mean, that's why I wouldn't be too worried about it. Their defensive coordinator is good. He's going to fix this problem because he knows if he doesn't fix it, he's going to be on the outs going to the Houston Texans to be their defensive coordinator.
Oh,
Right.
ouch. Houston has enough problems.
I see what you did there.
Just saying.
And then the
We're going-
claim about Tom Brady looking like a old 40-year-old.
Oh, my God. Now, that's just
Oh.
ridiculous.
Stop it.
Yeah, knock that off. Well, that
Right.
part's kind of ridiculous. I mean, he is 40. There's no question about it. But, I mean, they did the same thing that they've been doing. I mean, they run short routes. They just got quicker. And basically, they're the same team. They just got better weapons, in my opinion.
Excellent. Quick take, 10 seconds left. Alex Smith's game.
Normal. No turnovers, efficient, or low turnovers, efficient.
Yeah, consistent.
Yeah, very consistent. It was Kareem Hunt that we didn't even talk about, the most electrifying thing of the whole week, and we didn't even mention it.
No one mentioned it. No one mentioned
Nobody
it.
mentioned it. It was the best thing that happened, but that's neither here nor there.
All right, moving on. Next game we have the Buffalo Bills versus the Jets. Jets. They lost 21-12.
I think I took a poop during this game, and many other games at this time. I actually was, I was so disappointed that the Bucks didn't play this week that I actually started playing NCAA 2014 to entertain myself.
Jesus.
There was literally
Okay.
nothing else to do.
That was the last NCAA game they made. I was like, I'd rather play this than watch most of the games that are on. But the Bills game, I mean, it was the Jets. I think I saw, you know what did it for me? I came from church, and when I looked at my phone, it said the Jets are in rare form. They've tackled themselves behind the backfield. And I think at that moment, I knew that football this Sunday wasn't going to be great.
Oh my goodness.
And apparently it was worse than the butt fumble. Like, I think his own man tackled him or something like that. I didn't even look. It was so
It was
bad.
pretty bad. It was pretty bad.
Yeah.
Josh McCown
It
didn't score a
was ugly.
touchdown. It was 2 picks. Daly scored. Their only scores were field goals.
And that's where it's like, will someone please call Colin Kaepernick to New York? Please.
That's a hot topic.
Because come on now. Come on, man. Kaepernick gives them at least 7 wins. They don't
I
have
think
any.
Kaepernick's. I think Kaepernick's way better than Hackenberg.
I mean, it makes me want to literally just hack.
But isn't Hackenberg in the
Inverted.
second season though?
It doesn't matter. He's just. I didn't think he was great at Penn State. I think he was from Penn State. It sounds.
He was from
Penn State. I
He
don't
was from
think
Penn
he was
State.
from. I don't think he was that good in Penn State. I don't know why the Jets are. The Jets are the only team in that division really not making moves. Every other team has brought in some type of weapon or quarterback or receiver. The Jets, they let their receivers go. They let their starting quarterback go, even though he wasn't great. I mean, he's still better than McCown. I mean, they've done nothing.
Yep.
I
And
think-
the only thing they
I-
gotten in the offseason was Curse from Seattle in a
Listen, people think they're
lopsided
Think about it
fake.
like
trade.
this. I would say, think about it like this. The hottest thing that they did this offseason was their rookie safety saying that he would die for the game of football. That was the biggest news out of Jets camp. Adam saying that he would die playing because he loves football so much that he would die for the game. What a glorious death!
You have to give him credit. At least the Jets committed to something.
Hilarious.
Exactly. And that's what I'm saying. I mean, but that's the bolt of the game. I mean, it was a regular Jets Bills game, honestly. It doesn't matter what coaches are coaching, doesn't matter what players are playing. I feel like it's always going to be the same game.
Hilarious. All right,
Yeah.
gentlemen. Next game, it was the Jaguars against the Houston Texans. It was an emotional game, but they got destroyed 29-7. Jacksonville got the win.
Which is pretty interesting. Shout outs to Leonard Fournette getting his first 100-yard season, first yard season game. I think it was more combined yards. I think he had a little over 100 yards.
He had
Obviously,
100 yards rushing, and he had 24
The
yards
dot.
receiving.
and I mean, so shout out to him. Obviously helping them. I think they had some injuries, but clearly the Texans had to be affected by the hurricane, because that's the only way I can describe this type of performance. Obviously so many things going on. I know we commended JJ Watt for raising the money, but they definitely didn't come to play football, guys. Come on.
Yeah, I agree. I think it would be hard not to be distracted or not to
Mhm.
have your mind elsewhere when, these guys live in that community. And I'm sure if they weren't themselves directly affected, their neighbors, their friends, their family, their kids, an event like that we saw in Houston, that, nobody's isolated from it, especially for the fact that it wasn't just Houston, but all of Southeast Texas that really got walloped by the storm. So yeah, I would think it would be very hard not to be distracted by and have your mind elsewhere, like your family, your house, your things that are more important than a game of football on any given day.
And this even brought back memories for Leonard Fournette,
Mhm.
who is from New Orleans and went through Katrina.
Right.
So he definitely understood. And I mean, they're talking about a rookie. He said, "Hey, I donated $50,000 to the cause," which is big, for somebody who's, really you could lose anybody could lose their career at any point. But you're somebody who's fresh out of it, right into the game. And I mean, $50,000 might not seem like a lot to to them, but I mean that's a pretty good donation.
That is.
Absolutely.
That is.
But ultimately, the Jaguars, under the new regime with Tom Coughlin, they look pretty good.
They look pretty good, though. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. Hello.
Duke, 30 seconds. Go.
And I fell asleep reading the recap of the game. I kind of knew what it was going into it, although I was hoping for something else. And I did, I wanted Houston just to have the win, just because they need a win right now. But yeah, I kind of knew what it was going into.
I think everyone was expecting Houston to win, to ride that emotional wave, but
exactly.
it just didn't happen. They was flat throughout the whole game, and ended up in a loss. I think they're gonna recover from it and have a bounce back game next week. Gentlemen, next game is, I guess people would call it the real America's team, the Pittsburgh Steelers against the Cleveland Browns in a very close game. Steelers won it 21-18.
This is a game that I was watching. I was flipping between this one and the Redskins game. I think the Browns are going to be better. I think it's really going to come down to them getting a little better. I don't know if they're going to have to bring back or not, but the Browns could be pretty good.
I think Chris is chewing on your wires again.
That John Gotti was making this face like I said something funny, but I was like, I'm just talking about the Browns, unless he's thinking Doodle Brown or something. I didn't know. I don't know.
I actually did not like that song growing up, by the way.
I didn't think so. I mean, am I better now, or is Chris still fiddling with my wire?
I think Chris wants the Doc and the Duke to start doing their roasting, but we'll wait for towards the end of the show to do that. But you're fine though.
Am I good now?
Yep.
I mean, am I good now, or
yes?
Should I disconnect right now?
Minute 23 left, sir.
Go ahead, people. I think I've disrupted enough.
No one wants to talk about Le'Veon Bell only rushing for 32 yards, only receiving for 15.
Like I said, I'm breaking up again because you're still laughing at me. I must have.
Woo!
I don't even know what's happening.
Getting the senior October. Anything to say about this game?
No, it's actually the one game that I actually didn't. I wasn't able to check. I only checked the final score, but yeah, Bell rushing for that few yards definitely stood out to me.
I mean, Antonio Brown had an insane game, 182 with 11 receiving. No touchdowns though.
I was surprised at how competitive the Browns were. I mean, looking at them, a lot of people were saying that don't sleep on them this year. They're not going to be the same old Browns, and you can't judge anything off of one game. But it was nice to see the Browns competitive.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, usually Browns and competitive don't go in the same sentence, but it was nice to see them put up a fight.
Especially against a team like the Steelers. That was
exactly
a team who has some Super Bowl aspirations.
Yeah.
All right. The next game is the Arizona Cardinals against the Detroit Lions. Detroit Lions won 35-23.
Lions look solid. I mean, very, very, very solid.
Yeah, I would not be surprised if they made it to the playoffs this year.
Yeah, me neither.
But only if they can keep this up, because we've seen that in the past too, where they'll they kind of have a bit of what I call, now the Tennessee curse. You start out strong and then you just kind of peter off somewhere mid-season, usually right around that bye week. Or that bye week is what, ends up refreshing everyone and then you finish strong, but it's just not enough. So hopefully that does not happen to them this year. I don't think that it will, but if it does, I already called it.
The Lions, who are they say they are? They definitely is showing the potential that they've been showing the past 2 years. Matthew Stafford's been slinging the ball very well. He only threw for 1 pick, but it wasn't necessarily terrible. They're getting decent rushes out of their running backs, which I think was one of their biggest issues last year, and mostly because of injuries. But they're getting a lot of rushes now. I believe there's 5 people over 10 yards of rushing for the game. Golden Tate is looking like a monster. And, I just hope that they just get better and better and better as the season progresses. The one thing I will say, though, about the Cardinals, if I may, is this is what the doc was talking about last week before he had his heel turn. He said, this is a tale of 2 teams. Is it going to be a good Cardinals team that's going to play, or is it going to be a bad Cardinals team that's going to play? Well, we got to answer in week 1. What do you think, Doc?
Yeah.
As long as Carson Palmer is playing on the Cardinals, they will never go anywhere. Was that clear? You can't hear me yet.
Oh, Chris is trolling the doc hard. I guess Chris doesn't like the heel turn. Chris doesn't like the heel turn at all. Wait, hold on. What is that, Chris? Oh, so I got official word from our technician, Chris, our intern. He said, and I quote, Doc Ocean, you need to get better internet.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
So now it's good.
Yes, you're good now.
So now that I've hid my ugly mug
terrible
from the screen, my audio works. Okay.
I think you might have spoke too soon.
Would someone please give him some 4G?
Oh.
Carry on, gentlemen.
The next game, gentlemen, is the runner-up in the NFL championship last season, the Atlanta Falcons beating the Chicago Bears 23-17, a much closer game than anticipated.
Dirty Birds. Dude, I'm a little disappointed in Atlanta right now. Like, I definitely expected them to blow the Bears out, especially with the troubles that they have had going into this game.
I think Vegas expected them to blow out the Bears.
I think the Bears expected to get blown out.
And I don't know. I'm kind of glad that they didn't, because they're another team that, like, you just need a win. You need a win for your confidence right now.
I mean, think about it like this. Mike Glennon of the Docks, Tampa Bay Buccaneers, who signed with Chicago, threw for 213 yards, 1 TD, no picks. That's a pretty good, strong QBR right there.
Yeah.
That's a really strong QBR right there. 26 of 40, that's a pretty good, strong QBR.
But you know what? Sprinkles are for winners.
Sprinkles are for winners.
And close only counts, and horseshoes and hand grenades.
I was going to say, silly Mike. Tricks are for kids.
Yes. I mean, you can have the best QB rating in the world and still be on a generally crappy team and it really not count for anything, which is, sad for a QB like him in that situation, because you'll never truly be able to get your shine on. But I don't know. What do you do?
Really, not much you can do in that situation.
Yeah,
Um,
exactly.
I mean, it's you're kind of at a loss and kind of at the mercy with with the rest of the team.
Yeah, and I mean too, it's demoralizing, and that's how that's what makes it hard for teams to go through rebuilding processes like that unless it's done really carefully, because you have what at least right now looks like a solid QB, and you're probably going to be in risk of losing him if you can't get him some support.
Right, and nobody's going to want to come to a team that can't doesn't seem to
Sucks.
get their act together no matter how many pieces they keep adding.
Hmm.
Nobody's going to
Right.
really want to be a part of that. So it's kind of like a self-fulfilling prophecy.
Well, and it's
Yep.
not so much as filling in the pieces; just filling in the right pieces is the problem.
Well, and that's what I was saying. Like, unless you rebuild smartly, it is really hard to do. And we've already seen again
Hmm.
in the pre-season, or I should say the season thus far, that they don't necessarily make the best decisions when it comes to their business dealings. So
Absolutely.
unless you get good or marginally good players that are forced to go to Chicago via trades or other agreements, you're not really going to be able to build a team.
Absolutely.
Somebody please tell me that they can hear me now.
Yep.
Oh, the Chris curse has lifted, and we're going to the next game, gentlemen. It
Wow.
was the Go Raiders Go against the Duke's team, the Tennessee Titans, in a losing
No
effort against
comment.
the Raiders, 26-10. And we'll start off with the Duke.
No comment.
There is no such thing as no
Nonsense.
comment.
I,
That's
Wow.
not how we do that.
okay. Let me just say, like, I expected my boys to lose. I did. It's sad to say, but I'm a realist. Especially going up against a team like Oakland, who has so much promise for the season. Like, I really did expect them to lose. I didn't expect them to lose in this fashion. It kind of felt like Oakland showed up for a scrimmage and Tennessee just kind of tucked their tails and was like, "Oh, okay, yeah, let's do that." Like, it is extremely, extremely disappointing to me when you have a running back like Murray who only gets 44 yards in the game, and the quarterback is halving that with a quarter of the carries. Like, it blows my mind.
It's kind of
The
unfair,
way-
Duke. That's unfair.
Wow.
Duke.
Not really, not
That's
really,
unfair.
and
It's
and
unfair.
not really. But I'm gonna say this: like, quarterbacks will traditionally, yes, on sneaks or other similar plays, they will pick up a good deal of yardage. But as a back, when your whole purpose in life is to take the ball and run with it, and you have 4 times as many carries, there should be no reason, and especially for a running back like Murray, once again, that you have so few yards and so many carries.
That's the
That's
unfair
what
part,
for me.
Duke. That's the unfair part. I can't believe that. I don't know if I'm coming through clear. I didn't even
You are
know.
coming in
I
crystal
Yeah.
clear.
had to bring out. I had to bring out my.
You
had to
got
bring out my
45
microphone.
seconds, sir.
But it's unfair because even Trent Richardson can run through the Dallas Cowboys offensive line, and clearly, he couldn't run behind the Eagles offensive line, which is very athletic and good. So I don't know what made
I
the,
mean,
he was on
you're
he was on
talking
the
about
Eagles.
two different calibers of team
He
here.
was on the Eagles. He did go to the Eagles. Don't make that face. I can see you even though you can't see me. The guy did go to the Eagles, the running back from the Titans, before he went
Right.
to the Titans.
Yes, he did.
Murray, that's right. So it's unfair that all of his production is based on running behind that well-paid Dallas Cowboy offensive line that Trent Richardson could run through. It's like so easy. A caveman could do it.
I think
You know,
I think we're gonna go to the next game. I feel like there's some salt happening over here.
yeah, yeah,
I feel like there's some
yeah.
salt happening. You might need to, bring it back down with tonight's drink of choice, the Dominican Republic import Brugal. Make sure you mix it together with a nice, good, cold glass of Coke, and make sure you drink responsibly, ladies and gentlemen.
But just 20 seconds though. Seriously though, I mean, it's tough.
And I get that. I do.
Because the Titans' offensive line is great, but they are no Cowboys' offensive line.
No,
Nobody
not at all.
is.
But
Not every team could have Trent Richardson on it, and he run for 1,000 yards.
But we're talking about 4 first downs in the whole game.
That just means that people aren't threatened by Mariota passing game yet.
Oh, of course not.
Mariota,
And that's where
but Mariota had a really okay game. He didn't score any touchdowns, but he did throw for 256.
He got one.
See, that's
He got
where
one in the first quarter.
He threw one or he ran one?
I believe he ran it.
Yeah, so they're not scared of the passing. That's why it's tough. They're stacking the box, and the Raiders have a great front seven.
They do.
So I mean, let's see what happens. Maybe next game Murray will run for 160 yards.
And I'm hoping. I'm actually hoping it is more than that. It probably won't be, but I'm hopeful.
Hilarious.
All right.
Let's go to the next game, gentlemen. The Ravens blew out the Cincinnati Bengals 20-0. What?
I got nothing.
It's funny because being here in the middle of both the Ravens and the Redskins, it was kind of a tensions got real high.
I'm sure.
After these games, man. Like, I don't know what is going to happen up here when they meet. I'm expecting rioting in the streets. But,
probably not.
But
Probably not. Probably not. Because all the Ravens got to do is say, when the last time y'all won a Super Bowl? Don't worry, I'll wait. And then, my friend, the rioting will begin.
Yes.
But
Exactly.
I mean, anyone want to talk about the Red Rocket, Andy Dalton throwing for 4 picks like a rookie?
I don't even know if I can say anything because every time I say something, Chris kind of trolls me.
Yeah, I'm getting trolled right now, so go ahead, go for it.
I mean, I don't know if you guys noticed, but I was just gone for 20 seconds. Just disconnected my internet.
I told you, you deal with Chris, you got to assert dominance.
I thought he was a Titans fan for a second.
Oh,
What the heck, Chris?
shots
I told
fired!
you, I got him in. Chris is holding my pocket.
No, but I'm not sure. Andy Dalton's kind of on the path to Carson Palmer.
Wow.
To me, at
Wow.
least.
Anyone want to comment on that one?
I'm leaving that
He's
one.
not wrong.
Carson Palmer stinks, by the way. I just want everybody to know that.
Thank you, Captain Obvious.
Make sure you're aware of that. He stinks really bad. I can't stand him, actually.
But is he the reason? Okay, well, we already talked about that game already, but I mean, so Andy Dalton threw for 4 picks. Joe Flacco had a okay game. I mean, Joe Flacco's supposed to have, a cannon for an arm, throwing it deep, but he only threw for 121, 9 out of 17.
I can't even name any of their receivers.
Jeremy Maclin, they lost Danny Woodhead,
Mm.
so I guess that's significant news.
Right.
They got Mike
that's
Wallace.
The thing, though. I mean, I think the reason why Andy Dalton threw 4 picks is because they're really supposed to be a running team. They're not supposed to be throwing the ball, and they got 3 running backs that easily could run for 1,000 yards apiece if they religiously ran the football.
Well, they didn't combine for 100.
Problem lies, and I don't think the Ravens' defense is that great,
I think they just barely made it to 75.
and that's just unbelievable.
And that's no good, like Simon would say.
4 picks, though, man,
Sonic.
that's crazy.
It's crazy, man. Let's go to the next
You have
game.
to really try to throw 4 picks.
Hilarious. We have those Eagles against the Redskins. The Eagles beat the Redskins. That was an entertaining game. 30-17.
It was
very
pretty good.
very entertaining.
That's a good rivalry.
It is. It was a good game, though. I will say, and with the whole sack fumble, but interesting game nonetheless. I felt it was kind of weird the way they were getting. The Eagles were running some really interesting plays. I'll say, freeing up some of the receivers. It was interesting to see what they were doing out there.
Mm-hmm.
I am curious to see how they move forward. But Carson Wentz looked pretty good.
He did. He definitely looked like a quarterback that they can, ride with for the next couple of years. He definitely had a great touchdown pass. I think it was a 51-yard touchdown pass. That
was pretty.
Slipped through the pocket very Eli-like.
Wow.
In some retrospect. And just dropped a dime. Like Trent Dilfer would say. Like, it was a beautiful dime. It was absolutely amazing. But, I mean, other notable things, Kirk Cousins threw for 240, 1 TD, 1 pick. I mean, he definitely brought it around, I guess.
He didn't look like a guy that should be paid a lot of money, though.
He didn't look like a, max contract kind of player. Kind of like
not
Harrison
even close.
Barnes.
Not even Harrison Barnes.
We still got like another minute if y'all still want to talk about the game. We all said it was entertaining. I feel like only me and Doc said anything. Let's get to Duke.
Lasers.
You still got a little bit more time for the rest of your question. Do you need to say anything else, sir?
Good while it was happening, but it wasn't. I don't really think any game, with the exception of one of the other ones, could be considered an actual game. Anything was game of the week worthy.
Well, I think what really made this game so much more entertaining was the amount of turnovers that happened. I think we can all agree the amount of turnovers that happened made the game much more exciting to watch.
Well, it made it more chaotic.
Mm-hmm.
Well, chaotic creates cash too.
It does create cash. He's right.
Cash for controversy.
Hey.
Yep.
And that's what we do here at Debates Among Friends. But yeah, there was really loose with the ball. Definitely going forward, I don't think they want those kind of issues, especially with this one being a divisional game. Just going to lead to more issues later on down the line for them.
True.
People have the Eagles being a dark horse making it to the playoffs this year, and they had some stuff to fix. I mean, they had to just, get back to the drawing board, look at the tape, and figure out what they need to do, and just come back the next game much more stronger.
True.
So we're finally on to the next game, and it wasn't really much of a game, gentlemen.
I can say that about all of them.
True. I'm actually kind of sad I didn't watch this one though, because I just really wanted to be like, what the heck? Like, were the Colts just that bad, or were the Rams just that good?
I was shocked to see the final score. I was absolutely shocked.
I mean, this is another new regime.
46-9.
You have to
the Rams
keep in mind,
absolutely
new regime.
Shellacked the Colts. I mean, granted, Andrew Luck is out on injury, so he didn't start. But I don't think that gives them a pass.
I mean,
on this at all.
Another team. I mean, I'm just saying, another team that should have picked up Kaepernick. Because, I mean, Todd Gurley didn't run for a lot of yards or anything like that. So, I'm not even trying to...
No, it was Jared Goff throwing 306 with only one touchdown, though.
Exactly.
Yeah, but he got his team in field position with that 306.
Yes, he did.
True.
Yes, he did. There was a lot of short field situations.
You don't have to throw it into the end zone every time. You just got to get your team within 15, 20 yards of the end zone and just let your running backs and... he
was 21 to 29 for the game.
I mean, Todd Gurley didn't have a great game. I mean, they're running the ball. It doesn't look like they did great.
No.
I mean, I just think
it was very Kansas City-esque.
I mean, the Colts are just not good.
The Colts are not good. Okay, so
Cap, like I said.
I mean, all right. So quickly then, two questions. Then a minute 15 left. Will the Colts eventually sign Kaepernick? Yes or no? Go.
No.
Nope.
Nah.
Will the Colts go 0-16 this season? Go.
No.
No.
God, I hope not.
You have something else to say. Go for it. You still got a minute.
I don't think that they will go 0-16, but the big question is, how many wins will they actually get?
5.
I was gonna say 4.
That's if they're lucky.
Yeah, I
I'll
was
say
about to say
3.
like 5.
3.
To me is being a little generous.
I agree.
I'll say
I think
3.
Marlon Mack is gonna come on and take over for Frank Gore, and that's gonna once this guy gets healthy, they run the ball with Marlon Mack and kind of move on from Frank Gore.
I feel like
they'll
Frank
get 4 or
Gore
5
is the
games.
Trent Richardson. Like they.
I mean,
It's
yeah,
the
this is
Trent
no
Richardson
Cowboys.
situation all over
He
again.
can only run beyond the Cowboys offensive line. He can't
I
run
see what you
behind the
did there.
Colts offensive line.
I see what you did there.
I really believe that too, by the way, guys.
He's that serious too.
I'm so serious. I would love to see it. If he can't run behind the Cowboys offensive line, then maybe he just can't play football. But I really do believe he could drop 1,000 behind that offensive line.
Terrible. Next game, gentlemen, we have the Carolina Panthers against the 49ers, and it wasn't a game. It was 20.
Another team that should have reconsidered bringing Cap back.
You saw what I tried to do
knew
there?
that was
You
coming.
saw what I
I
tried
don't
to do there?
understand why we're still doing this.
Because it's better
They should
for us to do it this way.
They should be calling Cap back right now. Like, hey, we're just joking we're just giving you extra vacation time to do your,
Oh,
protesting.
goodness. The owner of the 49ers sitting in his room right now, ripping off his shirt saying, "I can't live without you."
Yeah, like, it's really terrible. I mean, they're just not good. They need to bring them back. I don't even know their identity anymore.
I don't know. They got Brian Hoyer as their quarterback. When was the last time Brian Hoyer was relevant in football?
That one time Carson Palmer was good.
Nope. Doesn't count. Doesn't count.
I don't remember that time. That's why I brought
Exactly.
it up. And that's to my point.
I
Are we
mean,
looking at another Browns team?
the offense
Yes,
did nothing.
absolutely.
The defense
Well,
did
no.
nothing.
The defense is better than I don't know. The Browns have always had a good defense. They just be on the field for too long.
Yes. The Browns always been
That's
on
the
this field
problem.
for too long because their offense completely suck.
You're right. And that's what the 49ers are kind of turning into.
Yeah.
Cam Newton threw for 171, 2 touchdowns and a pick.
It wasn't
Kind of
great.
already get rid of that pick anyway because of the score. I
Yeah.
mean, still all around balance. I'm happy to see Christian McCaffrey get some touches, 13 carries and 47 yards.
Right.
I mean, he could be a game changer for the team this year. Could. Always a could, never a will.
I saw a game changer. There's only one game changer two game changers that I saw. One, Hunt, which nobody talked about.
No one talked
And one
about
we're
it. You
gonna
didn't
talk
talk
about
about
a
it
little
either, sir.
later. Yeah, it didn't dawn on me. I was sitting there. I was like, man, we're sitting there. We're talking about the Chiefs. We're talking about quarterbacks, and I mean, it was hard to throw a little Hunt in there.
Mm-hmm. Well, I guess quick take for everyone. Cam Newton only rushed for 3 yards with 6 carries. What's everyone takes on that?
Sad face cam.
I
Not the sad towel.
go ahead, October.
No. Go ahead, Duke.
Yeah. Go.
Honestly, I hope that this is a new, wiser, more seasoned Cam. I don't think that it is. I don't know really what his issue was or what his strategy was, but
He kept
at
getting
least
hit
he
in
got
the
to take
head.
it out on the 49ers.
He kept getting hit
I mean,
in the head.
he could have gotten tripped by one of his old linemen and gained 5 yards.
This is true. This is.
I mean, like 3 yards. I mean, I agree. I think he should kind of just stay in the pocket and use that speed as a get out of jail free card when the rush comes. But I mean, 3 yards. I mean, geez, that's
Agreed.
like 3 yards. That's like one step almost
It is.
for a man for a man his size, that's like his entire stride of
It's
one leg
true.
is like 3 yards.
Him falling forward, basically.
Exactly.
Well,
Yeah.
him falling forwards would have been 5 yards.
It would have been 5 yards,
He's-
actually.
He's a big dude.
Falling sideways then. And putting his
Hilarious. I
arm
see
out.
what you did there.
He curled up in the fetal position.
Tuck and roll, tuck and roll.
Alright,
Make sure to
man.
tuck your chin, sir, and enjoy the ride.
But like I said, I mean, I'm tired of seeing him run out of the pocket because
I agree.
I kind of feel like his mom. Like every time I see him do it, I'm like, dude, you were going to get injured. Like, stop doing this nonsense every other play.
Oh man, that's funny. But you're right. You're 100% right.
Oh
There's a time and a place for
no!
that, and not every play.
Doc Plez!
Sad face towel cam.
For those that don't know,
Okay.
that is Doc and Prop's go-to meme for pretty much anything.
It is.
Whether it's the
That-
picture or the GIF, it's always sad towel cam.
I mean, come on. Sad towel cam. And the towel's always the MVP.
It really is. That towel suffers a lot.
My goodness. But yeah, this game should have been more. This I would have expected this to look more like the Rams score than the Rams score. I mean, I think we should have reversed this because there's just no way that
I
the
think
Panthers
Carolina's
shouldn't
still
have.
finding their footing for the season. Man.
I think so too. I think, after how rough it was for them last season, they're just trying to find their groove.
We're definitely gonna see.
We'll see, sirs. Next game. The America's Game of the Week.
Mm.
The Seattle Seahawks against the Green Bay Packers. Packers won 17-9.
I mean, as I said via text after you said it got a little chippy, I guess somebody should have brought the salsa. I mean, I didn't get a chance to watch it, but based on, I was another time when I was hitting the gym,
Yep.
and I just had nothing but the sad face cam Panthers versus the 49ers. But I mean, based on everything I've read, I mean, pick six and then defense. I mean, that was it in a
Prime
nutshell.
example of defense winning games.
Yeah, basically.
Yep.
What was everyone's take on Jeremy Lane getting kicked out the game in the first quarter?
I think anybody getting kicked out of a game in the first quarter is a travesty.
Because of a
Especially
phantom
in the
punch.
first game of the season.
Yeah, it's pretty.
Yeah.
You got to be a little more lenient. I mean, I don't know all the details, but I think it's got to be a little bit more lenient. But I know that they're cracking down on practically everything, making it more of the no fun league, opening up for the XFL to return once again.
Oh my gosh.
Oh God.
Arena ball.
Absolutely. This is the XFL.
Oh gosh.
That was my hand.
Aaron Rodgers torched the Legion of Boom's defense for 311 yards.
The score doesn't reflect.
It really doesn't.
Ooh.
And that's the part that stinks. And I guess that's where the Legion of Boom is like, I mean, you can throw the yards, but it's more bend, but don't break.
Yep.
And they're probably okay with that. I mean, they're probably not super okay with it,
Yeah.
but they're probably okay with it.
The Packers
How many
had
sacks?
six receivers with over 30 yards receiving in the game. Randall Cobb is looking like Randall Cobb again.
You know, like I'm gonna say this: if I were a coach, which I could never be for this exact reason, but if I were a coach, I don't care if this is preseason. I don't care if we were playing the school for the deaf and blind. If you throw 300 yards on me, I really don't care what the reason is. Everybody's doing 3 a days. Like,
Yup.
no excuse.
Especially in the NFL. I mean, maybe
Yeah.
in the NCAA, yeah, I could see that on any given Saturday. But you get 300 yards thrown at you week one of the NFL? Yeah, no.
Yeah. Nah,
I
no
mean,
excuse.
but see, that's where, and I guess in the NFL, there are more moral victories in those studio classroom sessions because, of course, there probably were some great things done, but I'm sure there were some things done that were just like, listen, guys, you see this right here? We can't do this. Yeah, you. I'm talking to you. Yeah, you see this? And they just had the little clicker there, and they're just rewinding it back and forth. Yeah, you can't do this. Yeah, what is this? What a piss poor effort. You can't do this. No, you know what? Get out.
It's like
Just get out.
Jeremy Lane. If you're gonna throw a punch, throw a punch. Don't look
I
like.
hate
Dude,
that.
if
I
I'm
hate
paying
that
you,
so much.
if I'm
I
paying you a
hate it.
milliseason, like I
Ugh.
expect to wind you up like a toy soldier and have you perform the same every time. And I
Someone,
realize, like I realize that that's not the case because we are all human. But 300.
no. Someone throwing a punch at a helmet is the dumbest thing I have ever seen in my life. Like
I mean,
every time I see it, I'm just like, what the heck? Like hit him in the stomach. You know what I
last
mean?
time he
In the
tried to man up,
throat.
he got tossed out the game.
That's what I'm saying. Hit him in the throat, the stomach. You know, hit him in the balls for all I care. Like a place that you're actually going to hit something. You hit him in the helmet. I mean, you're just going to hurt your hand as opposed to actually punching. Like it's so stupid. Like I've always hated it. LeGarrette Blunt had the right idea.
We at Debates Among Friends do not do not endorse people getting monk shot, please.
No, I mean absolutely not. But I mean, if you see it, you just be like, all right, why did he throw that punch? Like when LeGarrette Blunt threw the punch at the end of the game at the guy's face, I was like, all right, he hit him in the face. The guy didn't have a helmet on. Makes sense. But to throw a punch at a helmet is just the dumbest thing ever.
I've always thought about that though, but that goes without saying.
Yeah.
Senior October, we have to talk about this game.
Oh God, October. This is just like
The New York Giants were defeated by the Dallas Cowboys 19-3. We're gonna start off with Senior October.
Well, let me ask October this question first, because he wasn't on the show last week.
Okay.
How did you feel initially about Ezekiel Elliott playing and the suspension being lifted?
That is a good question.
Bro.
Did Chris pull the plug on October?
Chris.
I told y'all you gotta watch him. He's sneakier than.
Wait.
Okay.
Sorry about that,
October.
guys.
I think
October.
he muted himself.
Did you hear my question? Did you hear my question?
Yes, I heard it.
Okay. So Chris got me.
It's a league game. It was an opening night game. The league was not going to let one of their premier players not play in a premier game. Just wasn't going to happen.
But how did you feel though? Like, how did it feel to see that guy who got accused of punching that lady in the face play on Sunday?
The fact that he punched a woman in the face and he was able to play on Sunday before serving a 6-game suspension, and Colin Kaepernick still isn't hired by a team, that just tells you all you need to know about the NFL.
I mean, it really does. I mean, obviously, this is for another conversation. Clearly, we all watch football, so we didn't back anything out, which I think 70% of the people who said that they were not going to wound up watching. So, even though the numbers were down, the game wasn't. None of the games were great. So, I mean, what a great week not to watch football.
I mean, maybe there was only one really good game, which was probably the opening night game.
I mean,
it got boring after a while, but mid-third quarter towards the end of the game, it became exciting.
Maybe there are more Bucks fans in the world than we think.
Oh, jeez.
I knew he was going to pitch that. I knew he.
Anyway.
No, what did you feel about the game, though? I mean, it was. It was rough.
It was the same tune I've been singing for the last year, actually last 2 years, last 3 years. The offensive line. The O-line it's not even the Giants' weakness. It's like it's supposed to be their foundation, which everything else revolves around. And the house cannot stand without it. I mean, you can't expect Eli to play like Eli Manning can play if he is running for his life after taking a 2-step drop. It's I was amazed that Eli completed as many passes as he did, with that O-line being that porous. But the score is what the Giants deserved. I mean, the defense for the first half was actually okay, but it's like shoveling sand against the tide. You can only do that for so long and not score.
Can I say though that Cowboys defensive line, that defensive end, I know Tapper and Crawford and even Lawrence, I would say all three of those defensive ends that were rushing the passer. I mean, Tapper, he looked like a vet out there. Like he was really getting after Eli out there. I was actually scared for Eli's career out there.
He was not intimidated by the fact that Eli has 2 rings and it's the Giants. No, he walked in and looked like he'd been there for 3-4 seasons already.
Like I was sitting there, like I saw Eli running sprints before the game, and I was like, man, like I wish I could run sprints like Eli. Like he was. I mean, he looked great out there running them sprints, boy. Like
but that was out of necessity.
It was.
That was out of self-preservation. He's like, damn, I got to get my sprints in.
Yeah, he looked like he had a nice little step there. I was like, okay, Eli looks like he might run maybe a 5 flat now instead of a 5 whatever he ran before. Looked like he had a nice little step.
A lot of people in camp were saying that this is the best, like physically, they've seen Eli look in a long time.
Yeah, he looks good. I mean,
like they say he looks really, really fit.
But I mean, obviously, another question that I'll have is, how do you feel about not having Odell Beckham Jr. out there?
Oh, that hurt. But if he's going to be the Giants, well, not if, he's the Giants' main offensive weapon, and I rather him out there at 100% than at 80 or 85, risking him getting further injured. I mean, the fact that it came down to like almost a game time decision, he probably could have played, but
he wouldn't have been as big of a factor.
Know it's going to be it's Giants Cowboys. You know it's going to be a physical game.
True.
Do you risk putting him out there knowing the corners are going to just be on him and try and chip at him the entire game, and then risk him further injuring himself? No, you don't. For week one, no. If this was week 13, 14, and you're trying to make the playoffs, yeah. Week 1, hell no. You let him sit, and hopefully he's back against the Lions, because the Giants do not have an easy schedule. They never do. And the Lions are coming into MetLife this weekend, and hopefully, fingers crossed, he'll be ready.
All right, really quickly, fair or foul, the hit on Odell Beckham Jr., cheap?
To me, it's not fair or foul. It's kind of gray.
Okay, I just wanted to make sure, because I know we had that discussion, and I want to make sure I got your take on that one there.
Yeah, no, I don't think it was cheap. At the same time, I think it was a little excessive, but I don't think it was anything overly egregious. And again, I'm talking as a Giants fan. I don't think it was anything like people should have been fined. The guy should have been, flogged. No, it was a chippy game, and stuff like that's going to happen.
Bring the salsa. I get it.
I see.
All right. So it looks like we have how many games left here?
2 more games. And the first one is the New Orleans Saints in a losing effort against the Vikings. And as 29-19, and as what the analysts were saying, the Saints were victimized.
Definitely weren't marching in. I will say that this is the other team here that I saw a star emerge among us. Dalvin Cook, the Florida State alumnus, went out there and really put on a show. Not only passing Adrian Peterson's rookie first game record, but really sealing the deal in the game. I mean, running for over 100 yards. He really looked good out there, and I truly wish the Bucs would have taken him. But we didn't.
I should always come back to the Buccaneers.
It always comes back to the Bucs. It's always going to come back to the Bucs or the Rockets. And soon it's going to be coming back to the Cleveland Indians when I get back on that gravy train.
Oh, my God.
That's right. Give me the heater. But the Vikings look good. Surprisingly, Sam Bradford has shaken his inner Carson Palmer and really came out and played some good football.
Oh, yeah, I'm supposed to give stats. Sam Bradford
No, I
was
didn't know.
27 to
I didn't
32
know.
for 346 and 3 TDs, no picks, so he had a very solid, almost perfect game pretty much.
He played great. His balls were spot on.
Mm-hmm.
He threw some very accurate passes. The Saints,
They
Adrian
struggled.
Peterson. Yeah, Adrian Peterson didn't look good. It was kind of televised because every time they brought Adrian Peterson in, they would run him.
Yeah.
So it was like really, really easy to see what they were going to do. And again, they missed Willie Snead because obviously they let go of Brandon Cooks.
Mm-hmm.
So they just didn't have the arsenal. Drew Brees could still fire the ball, but it just Sean Payton he has to be more creative, I guess, now moving down the stretch.
Yes. I just think the problem with the Saints is they're gonna end up they have too many people rushing the ball. They got Kamara,
True.
they got AP, they got Mark Ingram, and they got John Kuhn, all rushing the ball. Like you have to try to find a way to distribute that ball around. Of course, Ted Ginn Jr. had a rush for 5 yards, but he's a.
I was surprised they brought in AP, drafted Kamara. That was pretty surprising because I thought Ingram plays pretty well for the type of running that they need, especially after they let Sproles go all those years ago. I don't know. Adrian Peterson. They probably just brought Adrian Peterson in so that he didn't sign with the Bucks or Giants or somebody like that. That's the only thing I can think of because
Which he
clearly,
was supposed to go into the Giants.
Yeah, he was either going to go to the Giants, or go to the Bucks because he felt like those were teams that he can compete on. But I mean, I like the Giants running back. Doug Martin obviously is Doug Martin. I mean, you just never know what you're going to get. But I mean, him with the Saints, I feel like this is going to be I don't think Adrian Peterson is going to be as successful as they think he is there.
He will not be successful.
And they might wind up cutting him mid-season. It's going to be pretty sad, actually.
Ouch.
Kind of Randy Moss, Oakland Raiders-ish.
Ouch.
Unless he goes, hopefully he doesn't go to the Patriots still in this situation because that would be whack.
Don't be surprised.
Yeah.
And we'll round off week 1 with the Chargers against the Broncos in the nightcap, where the Broncos won 24.
I felt like Phillip Rivers was running scared for his life the whole first half. Like it was like he was running all night. Like it was so terrible. The crowd was so loud. I think I wound up just going to sleep because he was just like running for his life. It was pretty sad. I was so scared for him.
It's another example of defense winning games.
Yeah, it was so terrible. Like they were getting after him. The line, there were so many people. People were so fast. Like the linemen didn't even know who to pick up at certain points. Like in the first quarter, first half.
Yep.
Like they were double teaming, of course, Von Miller, and it was like so many other people were coming from so many different ways. It was just like, wow, what the heck is going on? But it was interesting to have new coaches going at it. Of course, 2 young coaches going at it. So I was pretty happy with that.
How do you feel about Trevor Siemian's game? 17 for 28, 219.
It's against the Chargers to me. I don't think it matters.
Wow. Right.
I don't think the Chargers defense was that good. I mean, they're not putting it all together yet. I think when they put it together, they'd be good, but they haven't put it together yet.
And what about the lack of running game from both teams?
Pretty surprised at the Chargers running game because I figured they would be doing more running.
Well, I think they both.
Yeah.
I think they both just came into it thinking that the defense was going to shut down the run, so let's not even focus on that going into the game.
Let's wait to the next game.
I thought they just came into the game like, hey, let's see how many points we can throw. Let's just throw it all around.
Yeah.
Pew, pew, pew.
That was definitely week 1 recap though. I mean, it was a perfect game or perfect week of games for a blackout.
Yeah.
If you didn't want to watch football this week, it was a perfect week. If you say, hey, I didn't watch last week, but moving forward, I think I've done my protest. I'm going to watch next week. That was a perfect week to miss.
Well, it's interesting. It's going to be interesting to see now if these people had said that they weren't going to watch the NFL because Kaepernick and his protests, and Kaepernick's out now, and now you have a bunch of doing the silent protest during the anthem. I mean, it's really going to see now. Was Kaepernick just a lightning rod that you couldn't stand, or is it going to be? Can you not just stand this whole movement now of people refusing to be silent at these injustices that are happening anymore, and feel like if as beautiful as the national anthem is, if they feel like it doesn't apply to them or they don't feel a part of it.
Absolutely. And my thing is also, there are so many other things that do impact the African American community. And my thing is, if we're going to boycott one thing, we kind of got to boycott everything. You know what I mean? It's like a lot of the TV programs that we have, especially on like BT and even Lifetime, like some of the OWN network, like all these shows, I mean, they really don't build the African American community. And if we're gonna go that far, going to the club, definitely not building the African American community. Buying alcohol, smoking cigarettes, and whatever else, other companies that you're supporting, it's not supporting the African American movement. So if you're gonna boycott one thing, you gotta boycott everything. That's just the way I feel about it.
Yeah, and I mean, and I can especially see this going even further now with the current administration trying to repeal DACA and going after now even immigrants, like the children of immigrants that came here through no fault of their own. They were brought over as children and have lived as model American citizens their entire lives, and now they're being targeted. So this is not going to just stay with the African American community. Anybody that feels like now the country is trying to ostracize them or silence them or basically say like, hey, you know what? You're a part of the United States, but you're not of the United States. You're not one of us. And I'm telling you, this is the danger. Unfortunately, everything, and I know we're talking about sports, but unfortunately, everything now is political. Everything. There's no more solitary, just an act for the sake of doing an act, or for the sake of doing something noble. Now anything is a political statement. Anything you do. So I can see this spreading to maybe baseball, to maybe hockey. And even I catch myself saying hockey, going like, what do you mean hockey? It's a very white sport, but you also have a lot of Eastern Europeans, and if Eastern Europeans start being targeted, you know what I mean? It never just stays with one group. I've always said that if somebody threatens to do something terrible to the few, expect them to try and do something terrible to the many.
Yep.
True. That's a good point. So, and I mean, I really do hope that Kaepernick gets a shot.
I do too. He deserves it.
But at that point, I mean, it would kind of be a moral victory, because it's going to be like, hey, well, it took them a long time. Now you have to question whether they just did it for business purposes, or like the NFL might just make a team pick up Cap, like, hey, let's do a quick randomizer, and let's just say, who's going to pick up Cap? Roger Goodell just say, hey, call up the owner and say, hey, I'm sorry, your name was drawn. You will have to sign Kaepernick right now.
Well, the pressure has to become so immense where the NFL can no longer ignore it, and that's what needs to happen.
Yep.
I mean, I agree with the social part of it, but I really don't think it's going to be one of those things. I think it's going to come down to a team saying, hey, not only do we need something here to, I don't know, create some cash, but we're going to have to win some games. And I mean, that's going to go, we're going to have a whole other conversation because I think we talked about something like that last week that could have became a complete dumpster fire. And of course, we have to definitely move on.
Well,
to
I just
topics.
I just want to say this because I've kind of felt this way since this whole Kaepernick thing has started. But
Sure.
I'll be real quick. But people have a problem with Kaepernick sitting down or not standing or what have you, and other guys taking a knee. I can't tell you how many times I go to a baseball game, a hockey game, soccer game, whatever it is. And when it's time for the national anthem and everybody stands up and supposed to remove their hats out of respect, I
Hmm.
see people, well, men especially, don't remove their caps. Who's looking at their phone? Who's not even standing at attention? So it's like, what's your outrage really? Is because you may be outraged that Kaepernick took a knee, but I've seen you at a stadium stuffing your face with nachos and not even take your hat off for the national anthem, and I think that's even more disrespectful.
And I did say that last week. I did. We did discuss that last week, and I think the consensus was the public eye kind of wasn't on us. I mean, that was pretty much it. 'Cause we did discuss that last week. I mean,
Absolutely.
because most of us are sitting home. We're not. I mean, we loved it so much we would stand up no matter what, wherever we are, and do it. But that's not what's happening. But we expect these guys because they've been trained to do this since they were kids, and we all been trained to do this since we were kids. When that national anthem comes on, we're supposed to stand, put our hand over our hearts, look towards the flag or in the direction of the flag, and we're supposed to salute it no matter what. Never explained as to why, but we were told to do it from a young age, and being children, we just did it. It's kind of like, I mean, at Maris, we did these prayers. I didn't know what these prayers were, but I just know that we did them. You know what I mean? We prayed to these people that they believed in, so it was like that's just what it was.
Right.
So I
Which
mean,
is
but that's definitely something, you
which is
know.
funny because that's what me and the Duke was talking about during last night's show, recapping the
Hmm.
seventh episode of Rick and Morty,
Rick and
where there
Morty.
was a lot of social conversation that was going on, and one of which was happening in the classroom where the teacher is wiring things into the Morty's heads,
Mm.
to know, make it to where it's just common knowledge to them. Not so much of, okay, this is what you have to do it right there. It's more of a drilling it into your head until it's like, okay, this is
Second
the most
nature.
normal thing to do.
Yes, absolutely. Like tying your shoe. You should be able to tie your shoe really with your eyes closed. I mean, you should just be able to reach down there and just do it.
Hmm.
But in this situation, if you can salute the flag no matter what, whether you're blind, I mean, it doesn't matter. Deaf, I mean, it really doesn't matter because you would just feel the vibrations of the music being played. You would just
Absolutely.
Right.
know it. You know what I mean? So,
I,
um,
I mean, I personally think that, people need to get a drink and have a conversation, have a speech of
right,
sinister tones.
definitely, no, definitely. Um, but I do know we have to definitely move on to the next subject here.
Yeah, speaking about
We can see.
taking a stand,
Oh
let's stay
goodness.
on the
Oh, this is
gridiron.
perfect. Yes, that's
And
perfect.
instead of us going into the professional world, let's go into the collegiate world.
That's a perfect. That's a perfect.
See
That's
what I
just
mean?
Segue.
perfect.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a perfect segue. Um,
I have to give shout
Obviously,
outs to the person who creates these breakdowns every single week.
Professor.
I don't know what you're talking about, sir. But
Um,
the
Baker
big news coming out
Mayfield.
of the college scene was Baker Mayfield post defeating the Ohio State University Buckeyes.
Big game. It's a
A
big
big
game.
game Saturday night. He took it upon himself to take the OU flag, Oklahoma University, and plant it on the 50-yard line. Of course, the day after, well, I believe the Monday after actually, he actually ended up issuing an apology for doing it. He said it's the heat of the moment. I would never do something to disrespect the flag like that. It's just something that we would do if we faced, one of our rivals. Like, just don't like, we own this kind of place. We didn't mean to disrespect any Ohio State fans.
You did.
And he's
Isn't that
getting
the
a
whole
lot of
point of bringing
flack
it?
for
Yeah, the whole
apologizing.
thing.
So what
Yeah, I
is
mean,
everyone's take on this?
that was the
Listen.
whole reason to do it it's for disrespect. Like I understand the
I mean,
testosterone
mind
definitely
you,
going. I
they
mean,
lost to Ohio State last year.
who cares about last year?
Everyone cares about last year.
No,
cares about
nobody
last
cares.
year.
Who won the championship last year? Got to think about it. It was Ohio. It was Clemson.
It was Clemson.
That's what I'm saying. It was Clemson. But
It was
nobody cares.
it was the last minute touchdown pass.
Yeah, but this is a new year. You just planted a target on your back now. Because you planted this. I mean, really, think about it. When T.O. did it back in the day, in front, maybe he put the ball in its star. I mean, listen, you know that's disrespect. It's disrespect, and it's blatant disrespect.
Of course.
So
Yeah,
come on, man.
It's not like, I mean, like, and if you look at it, it wasn't like he kind of just like went to the middle of the field, held the flag up, waved it, and then walked off. You made a point to plant it to spike the flag into the field.
He
I
really
mean,
did.
that is not that is not in, you know, just a mediocre statement of like, yeah, we won, yeah. No, that's like you're putting an exclamation point on it, and you're saying we won. This is our field. We own you. And I mean, throughout history, what has man always done to denote ownership or to show that they've conquered a place? They have planted a flag.
Like the proverbial flag, yeah.
Hopefully
Exactly.
not, leave his mark on the stuff and say, you see this? I'm doing this on your toys. That means I own them now.
Right? That's just weird.
Yeah, you just made it weird.
You just made it
I mean,
so
look,
weird.
man, I'm a big proponent of say what you mean and mean what you say,
Mm-hmm.
and vice versa. Do what you mean and mean what you do.
Yep.
I'm like, dude, if that's what you're gonna do, own up to it. You can
Own it,
apologize
yeah.
for doing it, or you can apologize for the reasoning behind doing it.
Don't do it.
Don't apologize for actually doing it.
Exactly.
I mean, it's already done. You can't change history. So, I mean, yeah, it probably was the heat of the moment, but we've all been in the locker room. Like, you
Mhm.
already know this was a thought running through his head, though.
Oh yeah.
This might have been his
Absolutely.
motivation during the whole game.
But he might not even realize that. I mean, honestly, you win a big game. This is only week 1, 2. You win a big game against a top 5 opponent. You probably not thinking about nothing, and he probably didn't even think that anybody would really notice him, even though he's the starting quarterback of the Oklahoma Sooners. He probably didn't think that anybody would notice him do this, what he considered to be a small action.
Right, being surrounded by your teammates in the middle of a giant green field, surrounded by thousands of spectators and
Yes.
floodlights, and you waved a giant flag with your school logo on it and spiked it into the field, but nobody would notice.
Nobody
Yes.
would even notice. That's
Here's-
exactly what
He
he was
honestly would have had an easier road to toe if he had shoved a wad of 50s into a dancer's mouth.
Oh,
Like-
absolutely.
thinking. Oh my god.
Here's my take, and I don't know if everyone agrees with me with this one, but I like what he did. Not apologizing
Yeah.
about him putting the flag on the 50-yard line. Here's
I'm okay
why.
with it.
We're all athletes. We're all former
Mhm.
athletes. We played the sport. Before the game started, College Game Day, and I don't know if anyone had a chance to watch it, but I, glance at it often on, whenever I try to wake up from my 14-hour coma nap, which I call regular Saturday sleeping. But that's besides the
Alert.
point. No one on that panel gave Oklahoma University, OU, a figment of a prayer to win this game. Being an athlete and having to see that before the game, because they're waiting the entire game, the entire day to actually play. And to just have
Right.
that stay into your head, stay into your head, stay into your head. And not only do you just want to beat this team because, you want to get yourself a good ranking, you want to create yourself a good resume for the board for the playoffs, and, make sure that you win your conference title. But
And you're
now
just
you're trying to prove all these naysayers wrong. They're saying that we stink. They're saying that we don't have a prayer of a chance. Do y'all not see what we did to this team to a team last year during our last game of the season? Yeah, it was a bowl game. No, it wasn't for, the national title, but we did our thing. So, as an athlete, I enjoy the fact that he said, okay, y'all really want to be a naysayer. Boom.
Exactly, and especially considering that this is his senior year. This is the last time that he will put on these colors. Every game that you go out, you are trying to prove yourself.
But and that's whether it doesn't even matter though if you're a senior or if you're just a redshirt freshman. Like you want to go out there and show the world that I'm the best, my team's the best, and no one's going to mess with us. Like we're going to beat everyone, and that's what they did. They beat a good team, Urban Meyer team, that everyone said was going to beat the Baker Mayfield team. And it turned out that was not correct. So I applaud him from doing it. I just don't like the fact that he had to apologize afterwards. Because he ended up getting more backlash for apologizing for doing it than he did actually doing the deed.
But this is what I'll say. You do. I don't agree with the apology, but as a coach or maybe athletic director, I mean, I would say, listen, you don't want people out there saying that this was our national championship game. And he planted that flag like they just won a bowl game.
Right. Because then you'd be the 49ers this year.
Exactly. And I mean, if this is the biggest thing that you're going to do, then it's like, you kind of just put, I'm telling you, he put a target on their back because now it's going to be like, I guarantee you, somewhere the rest of the season, someone will plant their flag in Oklahoma.
Well, I think that happens in their division anyway. Like, I think that happens in their conference.
So, I mean, maybe that's just a custom that we're not used to.
Mm-hmm.
And if that's something that they do on a regular basis, then I don't think it would have been a big deal. But, I mean, the way it's presented is if it's never happened or it hasn't happened in a while. But my thing is, I don't see it being any different than somebody pointing at their jersey, waving a flag, like a towel, a la Cam. You know what I mean? I don't think it makes a big difference. I don't think he should have had to apologize for it, but it's all about image somewhere in there.
I mean, dude, if he was going to apologize, he probably should have apologized to the grounds team.
Exactly. I can agree with that.
Okay, no, he didn't mess up the turf, if that's what you're saying. He didn't actually cause any harm to the turf.
I mean, hey.
That's too funny.
But I see what you did there. Though.
But speaking of turf, obviously with the wins and losses, that does come into our next topic of the AP polls, which there were some divots created. There's some moving, there was some shaking, not too much, but obviously with Oklahoma winning, they do remain at number 2 or move up to 2.
They moved up to 2.
They moved up to 2 from 5. Ohio State moved down to 8, which I think that's respectable. 8. I didn't think they should have dropped too far. Honestly, if Michigan didn't win, I don't think they would have dropped below Michigan because I didn't think Michigan played that great of football this weekend. But what do we think about the top 8 teams here? I mean, number 1, of course, you have Alabama. The Crimson Tide still rolling. I mean, they're shoving. They beat the brakes off that team this weekend. Like, I don't even think their starting quarterback played the third quarter. Like, I mean, they were just beaming out there. Invisible, straight invisible juice. And then, of course, you have the Oklahoma Sooners. Then you have Clemson, which this isn't the same Clemson squad from last year. It's a little different. They're still playing hard, but it's a little different. But they did do very well this weekend. Clearly, the other favorites, obviously USC, Penn State, Washington defensively is always good. Michigan was really, really tough to watch because they didn't really play that great of football. I believe they were playing against Cincinnati, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
I think you're right.
It just wasn't like Cincinnati was just, the one team I would say outside of the top 10 that I would watch out for the remainder of the season here is Louisville. Lamar Jackson is so good.
Lamar Jackson, who is already a Heisman candidate.
We're talking about.
They have Baker Mayfield as a Heisman candidate as well.
Nah, man, Lamar Jackson made some throws over the weekend, and I mean, if you looked and took a screen, one of those sharing screens like they did Kobe and Jordan, and did Lamar Jackson and Michael Vick, I mean, I'm almost positive it would be practically the same thing. Some of the throws were tremendous. And he's becoming a better pocket passer. That's why I'm pretty excited about it. But
I will say that's probably the biggest part of his game that he needed improving. He needed to improve last year, and I'm glad to see that he worked on that mechanic to stay in the pocket, go through his reads and hit the best receiver.
They're doing a damn good job.
They are. More power to them.
I mean, that was the top 10 for AP. It looks like the coaches' poll is a little different. They have Clemson at number 2, Oklahoma at number 3. Then everything else pretty much remains the same with the exception of Ohio State being number 9 instead of number 8.
Now, that leads to a great question. And, always up to debate, even with the old format. If a team is undefeated, should they have priority to be above another team that lost a really close game with another high-ranked team?
Let me say this. I don't know how many people watched it, but I got a chance to watch the series Last Chance U on Netflix. Anybody else check that out?
No, I haven't yet.
Oh my goodness, it is so good, by the way. So, Last Chance U, just a quick synopsis for the people out there who have watched it, they know. But basically, it's a junior college out in Mississippi who basically take chances on players who get kicked out of big programs and basically invite them to be on their team while they basically rework their image and their grades, whatever the case may be. So they get the best players from around the country who get kicked out of programs and basically get them back into a D1 program. So their whole objective is to blow teams out every week to get to the JUCO national championships. So these guys were basically putting up 60, 70, and 80 points per game.
Wow.
On these junior colleges, which if you watch it, it's like, but you're talking about 5-star recruits going to junior college. So you're talking about guys who can actually throw, who can actually run routes, who can actually run the ball, who are actually fast, like who can hit. And these guys are tremendous. And I know we got the horn here, but basically to answer your question, they use the point system. So it's like you have to, even if there are 4 teams who are undefeated, it would go by who scored the most points, then of course strength of schedule, so on and so forth. But even with a 1-loss team, if they score the points and they've beat tougher opponents, you got to kind of give them the edge.
I know we always talk about that with the whole Boise State,
exactly,
a decade ago.
Because they're kind of in a lower conference. They have to move conferences.
Yes, which they ended up doing, but
right, because in the new conference they're not as good. So it's kind of rough. But that's another story.
That's another story for another day. So let's transition from the gridiron with news of Stephon Starberry Marbury making a comeback to the NBA.
I'm pretty surprised. He's like almost 40 years old.
He
if
is
not
40 years old.
This opens the door for a lot of people. Even though he probably still, he still plays great. He still, is in shape. I'm curious to see who's going to take a chance on him personally.
He's like a hero in China.
He really is.
He's a legend in China right now.
Who takes a chance on him, do you think? You have to throw a team out there. the Nets? Gonna do this again?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
The Nets learned their lesson the first time with him.
Even though he's not like this player, I mean, I would like to see him come back to New York. I feel like he didn't get a fair shake when he was playing for the Knicks. He
He's out there
definitely
eating
had he
petroleum.
definitely had the fan base behind him. It was just the front office.
He was out there eating grease, bro.
I see what you.
Heck, man.
But as
The
far
front
as like,
office is the problem with the Knicks.
it definitely
It's
is the problem.
Dolan. It's just Dolan.
Yeah. Someone needs to tell Dolan to shut up.
This could be him getting out of there with this lawsuit, which we're going to talk about, next. But hopefully, this is their Sterling moment.
I see. But as far as
I
other
see.
teams, I mean, could you see him making his way to the Cavs, even though they have no money?
No,
No.
What
No.
about the Warriors?
definitely
No.
not.
Hell no.
It's going to be
Spurs?
like, yeah, it would probably be a team like the Spurs. I could see him.
I could see him in Chicago.
Yeah, Chicago.
I don't think anyone wants to go to Chicago, though.
I don't think so either. They did just
No.
re-sign Richard. No, that was the Heat. Never
No, that
mind.
was the
Disregard that. Yeah. that was
Maybe
the Heat.
Atlanta.
Possibly
What about
Atlanta.
Portland?
Or what
I don't
about
think
the
Schroeder's
Lakers?
working.
Portland, yeah.
I don't. Maybe. I doubt it though. It would probably be a team like the Clippers, if anything.
What
I'm
if he
thinking
what if he
who else?
decides to make his way back to either Phoenix or Minnesota?
Minnesota would be interesting. Or if he went to Philly.
Minnesota just wants put butts in the seats.
Yeah.
I mean, he could go to Utah.
He
But I don't
could
know
go
who
to
would come.
Utah. They
I don't know who
they
would come
do
back to
need a
China to
primary
go to
scorer.
Utah. I mean, you don't come back from China to go to Utah, though.
Hell no.
Maybe he just wants the peace and quiet.
Yeah, okay.
I guess he's going to Dallas then.
Oh,
Wow.
somebody bust out the aloe.
Oh god.
Actually, now that he mentioned Texas, what if he ended
It
up
would be
going to
good.
Houston? And
No,
and
that's-
this is also to, I'm not really trying to stroke the Doc's ego because he does a great job with that now.
Oh
But
my god.
I mean, he could legitimately go to Houston.
I don't think. I mean, he could, but I don't.
It
I
could
don't
be a
think so.
legit 3-guard set.
I mean, it would be good to see Marbury and Eric Gordon play together. I would be interested in seeing that. But I don't know.
That'd be a really
we do
good
have
second
We do have
unit.
the China connection.
Yes, you do with Houston, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep. I mean,
But
it's-
because we do have Zhao Qi, who's actually signed to the roster now.
yes.
And I'm not sure if they played each other or not, but that would be interesting. I'm curious to know if Stephon Marbury has actually learned the language. That's a question that I would want to know.
I'm sure he has.
He has.
At
He
least-
has to
I mean,
pick it up.
I don't really
at
feel
least
like
some
he
of
spent
the-
that long there.
He's been over there for a minute.
Yeah.
He doesn't know anything. I'd be so mad. Like
No,
I would be
I'd expect him to know just basic Mandarin.
something. Give me something. You better learn how to at least say, "Where's the bathroom?" Because that's all I usually. That's the first thing I usually learn. Donde es el baño? Toilet. You know what I mean? Like that's the first thing I learn, and then how to order water, because that's usually what I'm looking for. Un botella de agua. You know, that's the first thing I try to learn.
We're getting to this point of the night, I say.
Exactly. But I mean, it's interesting because a lot of teams do have point guards, so I'm not sure where he would end up. I'm surprised he's coming back though.
We'll have to see what happens.
Absolutely. With the hardwood, obviously, I mentioned it briefly, but Charles Oakley is suing James Dolan, which I don't blame him, and surprised that it took so long. I wonder if somebody got in his ear and said, "Hey, you were treated unfairly. You probably should sue him."
I don't know if it's so much as someone had to tell him that he could sue him. I think he was trying to get, and we talked about this last week with another action that was happening with Michael Bennett. He was biding his time for the most opportune moment to strike. It was yesterday. To us, this is stemming from the being forcibly removed from MSG February 8th of this year, which was terrible PR for us as Knicks fans. Definitely left us feeling very... according to a lot of sources and even a Forbes article that I had the pleasure of reading today, they're saying that Charles Oakley can actually win this lawsuit. Now, whether or not that's going to end up being a settlement, no, we have to wait and see.
Again, it would be interesting to see if they can get Dolan out of there.
That would be great if that's part of the lawsuit.
That would be great.
I don't even think it was so much so that he was fighting time or anything like that. I think it was, you kind of have to decide in your inner self, with all the years of service that he's given New York, whether or not he was going to turn around and do that. And then also, too, what I think probably ended up pushing him to actually do it more than the actual ejection itself was the defamation that followed.
Yes.
And the fact that he felt like he never really got a true apology from it.
True.
Well, that and also the way that, the Knicks front office portrayed him, too.
Right, and that's what I mean by the defamation of it. They tried to do everything in their power to justify it, as opposed to just saying, you know what, hey, look, it's unfortunate, we wish we never did it, we're sorry, even if they just took it offline with him and they came back out and said, hey, we talked about it, everything's good, we squashed it. Right. None of that ever happened as far as I know.
It's like it's water under the bridge.
Right.
No such thing. No such thing. No such thing.
It's like punching a helmet. It's like literally like punching a helmet and sit down. It's just so stupid. But I mean, I'm hoping that something does come from it. Obviously, this would be, the second lawsuit really under an an NBA owner that we've had a long time. Of course, since the whole Sterling incident.
Yep.
You clearly see how that ended. I mean, it seems to have that written all over it, that, he would be removed, especially if they go and find any additional information of discriminatory measures against him.
Yep.
So this might be just a new way of NBA executives removing owners from the league without being sued.
Fair enough.
Because Dolan stinks, by the way, and they need New York to be
terrible.
They need New York to really grow back into a powerhouse, so they got to get rid of Dolan to do that.
There really has. We definitely fallen into deep mediocrity. And it's a shame, though, because I believe it was 2013 was our best season in the last decade, well, last 2 decades.
Well, I know they asked Kevin Durant, like, why don't free agents want to go to New York? And he said it's the ownership. He goes, everybody in the league knows, like, the Knicks are basically a madhouse, and nobody wants to deal with it.
Ran by a madman.
And I don't blame him.
And like the whole thing with Phil Jackson and that whole drama just added to it. It just reinforced it around the league. Like, yeah, you know what? I'd love to live in New York. I'd love to be a star in New York, but I'm not going to deal with that crap to do it.
Nope.
It's not your Patrick Ewing team anymore. It's not Dolan Sr. before he kicked the bucket. It's a lazy owner who really doesn't care so much about the team at all. Who
or about the game for that matter.
Or who gets people who are like way past their prime and expect them to be at their prime. Like, it just.
He's a bully with a magnifying glass.
A bully with a magnifying glass. Well said, sir. But let's shift gears. Let's go
Squared
from
circle.
hardwood to the by 20 square circle. Still baffles me how they call it.
I was thinking the same thing this weekend, but I didn't want to. I didn't want to go there. I didn't want to go there.
We had the Mae Young Classic Finals last night.
Yes.
Kairi Sane versus, what was her name again, sir? Because I know you butchered her name last week.
Kairi Sane. Oh God, that last name.
Shayna Baszler.
Basler.
I was gonna say Brazier, of course, but
No,
that's not
probably
right.
shouldn't say that. Helen, no, don't come into no,
Oh God.
no.
But the one thing I just hate about it is that none of these women we're ever gonna see any of these women practically again.
For the
It's the
most part.
part that just
For the most
bothers me
part.
so much. Because that's what bothered me with the last couple of tournaments is that all these women are great wrestlers and they are so much better than a lot of the crap that we get on the main roster now.
I see what you did there.
So
I
that's
see what
where
you
it's
did
kind of
there.
like, to me, it's like that's the, you know, it's like great that we have somebody who won it, but now we know that a lot of the other women are never going to be seen again.
I mean, what was your take on the match itself before we start talking about, who should be signed and whatnot?
I mean, for me, I probably only saw some of the major highlights because I didn't really watch this particular. I didn't watch most of the tournament, so I saw the highlights on this, and it's pretty sweet because I know we always talk about cross promotion, and even ESPN highlighted this on their website, so that's where it gets to be, basically out there. Um, but I mean, based on everything that I've seen in the highlights, the match seemed to be good. Couldn't really give it a grade, of course, based on those highlights, but I think for me, it's always delivery, execution, and entertainment. And I mean, most of the women that are in this tournament deliver on those things, and
Hmm.
that's the part I can't escape, and that's the part that's kind of whack to me. I hate it so much.
I would say that the match overall was moderate, and that's unfortunate to say because Kairi Sane can definitely wrestle people out of the ring and inside the ring and crowds and whatnot. It felt very sluggish. There was a couple of botches that happened. That
Not botched.
There was a couple of botches,
Oh no.
but it just looked weird. Like you'll see someone like ready to throw a punch, and then the person forgot to move their head because of the punch, and it's just that
But I
awkward
mean,
stare afterwards, and then they flinch afterwards.
is this one of those situations where they're preparing them for the main roster?
Basically, Shayna Baszler is still very green in the ring,
Yeah.
despite how much hype they're putting behind her. She's basically the female version of Brock Lesnar. Let's just be
I was gonna say that means she's gonna be on the
Yeah.
main roster in no time. They
except that
love
she
green.
doesn't do suplexes. She just puts people in submission holds the entire.
They love green.
But I mean, Kairi Sane did a great job selling the shoulder injury throughout the whole match. She definitely brought out a raw emotion in her scream. It doesn't really sound right, and I apologize, Helen, but I'm not giving you $5 for that.
Mm.
But towards the end of the match, that's when you finally see Shayna, showing some mortality. Where she was just selling the left rib injury, and that's basically how the match ended. She diving forearm smash into the bottom turnbuckle into the ribs instead of the face, and dropped the, now they call it the insane elbow, which is a stupid name, but whatever.
It is pretty crazy.
But I mean, real quickly though, let's talk about who they need to sign. They have signed a couple of people like Abby Layeth and Dakota Kai and people like that. Of course, Shayna Baszler is going to be signed as well too. The German lady Jazzy, she's going to get signed. Anyone from the field that you feel like should be signed? Bianca Belair's also being signed too. That's the girl with the long ponytail.
That's the person I bring up here. But I mean, obviously they were all different, have from different backgrounds. Obviously they were all signed for a specific reason. I would want them to be kind of kept around in a developmental capacity all of them so that we can start. And I really think that should have been for all of these competitions, the UK, like all of them. And that's the part that kind of stinks is that they're kind of just like, all right, we had enough, guys. You're going back home. You're going home. You're going home.
And we'll quickly go into the recap real quickly after. But I will say that, as I predicted, the winner of the Mae Young Classic will be competing for the vacant NXT Women's title.
Yeah, you did say that, and I really thought that. I really thought they should have just gave it to Ember Moon, but I get it.
They can't just give
this
it
is
to
a
her.
great opportunity for them to bring somebody from the main roster back who could be struggling. There's plenty of women who are struggling.
That's pretty much the whole roster.
It would have been great for, let's say, somebody like Bayley. Hey, bring Bayley back to be champion again. Oh, that'd be great. You know what I mean? But she's injured.
But that time is past though. Like
back.
that's during the Renaissance NXT period when things were so good and they was actually doing better than the main roster week by week. It won't have the same magic anymore.
I mean, like I said, and that's what we give Triple H all the credit. But I mean, obviously the Indies do a great job really preparing these guys for the big stage.
Of course. I mean, they're not really training anything. They're just learning how to do things the WWE way.
True. That's the only thing that
said, let's go from the developmental tournament to the main roster, Raw and SmackDown. Roman Reigns versus Jason Jordan.
They just feeding him to the. I mean, I don't really understand what they're doing with him.
I don't know. I don't know what they're doing, but whatever. They need
so
a catalyst to help out with this feud, and unfortunately, it's Jason Jordan. They basically already given up. I will say that's a common theme with WWE the past 2 years. Bring someone up and give up on them immediately.
Kind of like that old Planet Fitness commercial. I pick things up, I put them down. That's kind of how it is. So you think about it. I pick things up, I put them down. Vince McMahon, I pick things up and I put them down. Like that's kind of how it is.
I'm sexy.
That was my hand.
Oh no.
Stop it.
Yes, thank you.
Oh God, that's so funny. But nothing happened on Raw. I know you said it was a good one.
It was good because they had Brock Lesnar there, which of course means that him and Braun Strowman had another confrontation, and Brock got beat down by Braun. I really don't like the fact that they're overselling the running power slam that Braun Strowman, because before when he would just watch people around the ring a la Ryback and do it, he kind of just picks up a bigger guy and just slams him down. So I feel like it doesn't have the same effect. But of course he beat down Brock Lesnar, which means they're probably gonna have another confrontation this week heading towards it, which is a go-home show for No Mercy, and Brock's gonna get his one-ups. Then Braun had a match with John Cena. It ended with a DQ because Braun did a running power slam to John Cena. Once again, he didn't do the run. He just picked him up and dropped him. The Raw Women's title hunt is stupid, so I'm not going to talk about that.
That's right.
It ended with a 8-man tag team match where the Good Brothers, as you like to call them, or the Baldy Brothers, and the Bar, Sheamus and Cesaro, faced off against the team of Seth Rollins, Dean Ambrose, and the Hardy Boys, who was their partner that they decided to do, and they did a whole backstage segment of them just showing that they're going to become their teammates. So whatever, don't really care about that anymore either.
I mean, honestly, between Raw and SmackDown, the only thing to me big that happened was, number one, obviously the Miz's announcement about having a child. That was pretty big.
That segment before the match, that segment was the best part of Raw, hands down.
Right, like that was great.
So first of all, congrats to
it just kind of
congrats to the Miz and Maryse for conceiving a child. Hope child is nice and healthy. But then that scumbag Enzo Amore come out,
which is so stupid.
And he cut probably the weakest promo that he ever had. Like, First of all, Miz did a great shoot, basically saying everything that we've been reading for the past couple of weeks about Enzo.
But my thing is, it's like you don't see Neville on 205 and Raw. You
I
just see him
know.
on 205.
I
Like,
know.
come on.
I know.
Come
And that's
on.
why, Austin Aries left as well too. Doesn't make sense.
Come
Like, why are
on.
you, why are you putting Baby in the corner, basically? That's what they're saying.
Come on.
But
But that
then
was
they
it for
had the
me.
match. And I have to mention the match because it was a terrible match, and they spent the entire time talking smack to each other. Miz
Mhm.
saying, Enzo's phrase a couple of times while banging his head against the ring apron, which wasn't really him banging his head, but he was more slapping the apron with his hands like a dummy, but whatever. And then Enzo dropped
Good representation of Enzo.
the most heel line in 2017 in wrestling, which he said, "Oh goodness,
The Who's Your Daddy thing?
yes." When he basically said, after your baby is born, your baby's gonna be asking you, "Who is your daddy? Who's my daddy?" And I mean, I don't know how much of that was a shoot or for real, but I'm like, I'm we're all East Coast, like
Yeah.
in neighborhoods or states where you don't say things like that because those are fighting words where we come from, and people
It's-
tend to get really hurt really really badly, really really fast.
As long as that wasn't an improv, we're good.
I don't know, but I still don't care
True.
because they succeeded in making Enzo a heel.
Yeah. Which is good because when Cass comes back, then it'll work.
Cass is gonna be out for another 7.
I'm saying, I mean, hopefully he can keep a job for that long. But I mean, really, for me, after this, I mean, for SmackDown, the changing of the tag team champions again, that was really it for me. I think while
For
you guys
me,
are doing
the
Rick and
biggest
Morty,
thing was the Vince McMahon Kevin Owens segment.
but I feel like you had more reads than a library. Because I feel like you said that last week during the show. I don't even know if you recall saying it, but I feel like you literally said exactly what happened in that segment on last week's show. And I was like, dang, like, it's like deja vu. Like, John Gotti just said that.
Because
And then it
they are a
happened.
creature of habit and they do the same things over and over again. The one thing I like about it is the fact that, so you know how I keep talking about, Kevin Owens is a much more deeper character than the way that he's portrayed on television.
This is what you
They're
said last week.
showing signs of him being that Ring of Honor PWG Kevin Owens.
Exactly what you said last week. And you said he'll probably get into a feud with Vince McMahon and beat him up. And this is exactly
I said he
what
was going to
you
get into a
said.
feud with Shane, and then Vince going to show up and to
He
help
was gonna beat
elevate
Vince
everything.
up.
Yeah,
I mean, you said it.
because I
That
know
makes you
this.
the man.
I know these things because I
What?
read it.
You, did you say you know that you're the man?
No, I said I read it.
You
I said
read
I
that you're
read
the
it.
man.
No.
Yeah, he said his third eye is on point.
I knew it. I knew it.
This is
Use
not
the
going to
power
turn
of
into
the
that.
Force.
This is not going to turn into that.
The force
Dang.
is strong. This one.
Dang it!
The fourth is strong with this one. But yeah, I mean, and the tag team titles are just, I mean,
Tag team
they're
titles
becoming
are
obsolete
just what it
now.
is.
It's getting pretty stupid. They're probably gonna lose it at the pay-per-view. Clearly.
That's my problem. That's my,
Yeah.
my problem is I don't like I like the fact that they provide really good matches. Like both teams have excellent chemistry with each other. Granted, they play video games with each other, so you're gonna have to have
Mhm.
chemistry. Which also shout outs to Seth Rollins for winning his rematch for the Madden tournament for WWE. They
Yes.
played Madden
Oh,
18 and
I
defeated
mean-
AJ Styles.
But AJ was so angry last time. It was so funny.
The salt was real, and the salt
Very
got real
real.
again because he was playing on his console, which was Xbox One, and still
Right.
got destroyed.
I mean, no excuses.
There was no excuses, and he knew that he couldn't say anything.
Can't play none. They don't want none.
But I mean, I don't like when titles get hot potatoed around. I don't. I just hate it. We already talked about that with Sasha Banks with her being a 4-time Raw Women's Champion, but never had a successful defense. Like, I don't like it.
Yeah.
Like, I would watch videos showing time frames of people title reigns with certain titles, where back in the day, you know, a good healthy title reign was about 200 days. You know, once the
True.
Attitude Era started, it turned into 20 to 40 days.
It's true.
I feel like that's not strong enough to really, you know, mark your place in the pantheon of champions.
Better to not even be a champion at this point.
Like, that championship you got around your waist is no good. It's better as a paperweight.
Basically, yes.
It's almost like you come out of a comic book.
Straight seat holder. Hold my place. Oh, championship belt.
And I guess the last thing to talk about, this is outside WWE, is the Sexy Star incident. She's been stripped of her AAA Women's Championship. For those that don't know, Sexy Star did a shoot. Well, basically went to business for herself and injured Rosemary, who is part of the GWF, who's also going to do, and basically caused a lot of damage to her elbow by giving her a cross arm breaker. You just don't do that.
You don't.
Yeah, I'm sure it's in the contract somewhere.
Yeah.
I think it's more of an unspoken rule. It's kind of like you know, the Tony Parker, Brent Barry issue. You just don't sleep with your teammate's
Right.
wife.
Unless you're swingers.
I think Tony Parker actually had a downgrade by sleep with his Brent Barry's wife, but that goes without saying.
Yeah.
Oh, I agree.
But ladies and gentlemen, we have hit in-game time for our final thoughts, and we're gonna go around. We're gonna start off with the Duke. What is your final thoughts for the people this week? I think Chris put him on mute.
Duke, you might be on mute, I believe. I think he got you. He got you. Titans Unite.
Oh, and now is the perfect time for everyone's favorite segment, trolling Chris, the troll.
Yes. I have still not forgotten about the pack of ribeyes I owe salmon. So not only will you be embarrassed, you'll be butthurt, and you'll smell like fish for a week. This I promise you.
I feel like you were perfectly censored at the moment.
Ridiculous censoring.
It was pretty funny. That was
Chris,
so
Chris
perfect.
is on point tonight, ladies and
Unnecessary
gentlemen.
censorship.
Like, whatever you
Dude,
said
seriously.
was perfectly censored.
It was.
Prime.
It was so good.
Primed for radio.
Chris is a
But
freaking comedian now.
What's your final thought, though, sir?
All right. Let me gather myself back here. Freaking glue sniffers. No, I mean, outside of the opening week and the few events that happened in NCAA, I don't necessarily feel like this week was the greatest week in sports, by a long shot. But it did set up a lot of things for the future that I'm very curious to see take place, particularly in the NFL. I'm really, really, really curious to see if any of these week one scores and stats translate to, I won't even go to 10, week 5. Or whether a lot of them, like we've predicted, are kind of one-off flukes attributed to the opposing team. So, I'm going to try and keep my eye out on a lot of these teams and a lot of these players in particular and kind of see how they develop going into the season.
Out, sir. Appreciate it. Let's go to Senor Octubre.
I'm really excited for the home stretch with these games. It's I think it's gonna be really exciting, and I think on a personal note, it's nice to see the Yankee and Red Sox rivalry matter again. I really feel like it hasn't mattered in probably a solid decade. But to see these two teams going at it again, it's always good for baseball when you see that. And with the NFL, I'm kind of in agreement with the Duke. Let's see if these week one games are a pattern or just a one off. And on a side note, I know we don't really talk much about soccer on here, but my New York Red Bulls are actually playing this week in the U.S. Open Cup. They made it to the final several weeks ago by beating on a remarkable comeback against FC Cincinnati, an upstart USL team that will probably be in MLS eventually because they have like 30,000 fans that show up every game, and they're a second division team. So, um, but it was a big matchup, and while the Red Bulls have won a few supporter shields, which is basically like the President's Trophy in hockey, it's the trophy for the best regular season. Um, this will be if they could win it against Sporting Kansas City this coming Wednesday. Um, this will be their first trophy. This is their first like real like tournament trophy. So looking forward to that.
Excellent. The Doc, what are your final thoughts?
Three quick ones. First of all, of course, congratulations to Sloane Stevens for winning the U.S. Open. I thought that was pretty sweet. She seemed to be humble out there and basically, kind of shows hard work paying off. So I was pretty happy about that. Russell Westbrook, of course, signing the 10-year shoe deal with Jordan Brand. Pretty crazy. Of course, the largest extension and mega contract that Jordan has worked on. But that's pretty big for him. I know he's a fashionista. So I'm happy that he's got that. And of course, finally, the wait that we've all been anxiously waiting for. Game 1 of the Tampa Bay Buccaneers will happen this week. And hopefully this gave us an extra opportunity to work out the kinks because the preseason, our offense, despite how explosive I know we can be, wasn't showing on the preseason scoreboards.
You said that like it was a secret whisper.
I mean, I don't know. I just know that Trent Richardson can't come to Tampa and run for 1,000 yards.
Let's see. My final thoughts are shout outs to Smug. Big fan of the show. He hit 20,000 followers on Twitter. So that's a pretty big achievement by itself. Shout outs to Knuckle Doo for winning DreamHack 20.
I can't wait for Smug versus Gotti.
I can't wait for the Doc versus Infiltration.
I mean, he can win because it's not my game. That's going to be their game. If Infiltration plays Madden, then I'll be more than happy to play him.
And also, I posted something out in the Debates Among Friends Facebook page about potential American McGee's Alice game having a third entitlement to it, and pretty excited about that. For those that don't know, it's a cult classic game where it's I guess you could say a little bit more closer to the original story of Alice in Wonderland.
I did see that.
So pretty excited about that. Hopefully that is reality. American McGee on his Twitter actually confirmed that they are actually looking to make that third title of this classic series. So, whenever that gets out there, I am ready to go. And finally, we keep talking about our gaming streams. We are 95% ready to rumble, which we will have the Debates Among Friends crew doing our first stream very soon. We'll be sure to put it out there on the Twitter sphere and on Facebook once we're doing it. We are planning on shooting live straight to Twitch rather than to YouTube, but we will upload the videos onto YouTube post stream. So again, just look out for that. Our first one, I believe we're all in agreement that it will be Borderlands. 2, and we'll be doing an Allegiance run of the normal.
Yes. Yes.
You know,
Yes.
running around shooting fools in the face.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
And
Wreak havoc.
wreak havoc.
No, it should be fun though. But then of course, look forward to additional games down the line. Of course, we'll be doing our one-off streams individually. You might see me playing Madden, and I know my brother Shadow is already committed to playing 2K. I did mean to mention that to the professor. He will be playing. I just have to advise him on how to actually stream, which I can understand.
Yes, we have to make sure we abide by the etiquettes of streaming.
Of course.
Helen is not always available to kick people's $5 when they say things that's out of bounds. So we have to, be our own Helens and not say stuff
I
like
have to
that.
pry my 5 from my cold dead hands.
Hilarious.
I don't know. She kind of done that last week really fast.
Oh my goodness.
Oh man, that was just foreplay.
I think she actually blushed. Oh, getting the ball.
What's up?
I mean, after what happened last night, it got
Hey.
pretty intense.
Hey, what happens in the studio sound booth stays in the studio sound booth, all right?
And as always, be sure to catch our Tuesday streams. It's always myself and the Duke as we review Rick and Morty episodes. Duke, you want to tell a little bit more about what we talk about?
Oh man, it is nonsense and mayhem set to a track, or sometimes 2 tracks, or sometimes 3 tracks. Depends on if we're feeling Swifty that night. But yeah, man, it's fun times. Definitely check it out if you haven't already, and get some Rick Lightenment.
Or else you'll leave your s'mores burning, and that's never a good sign.
No, it's not.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, tonight's track is by OK222, and the title of the track is "I Don't Love the Way You Treat Me." A song that we found, and both myself and the Doc, the surgeon of giving CC doses of reality.
And I
just
just
really
wanna-
enjoyed this track, and we just wanted to play for everyone. Be sure
And I
to.
want to make sure that people also, before you say that, make sure people also feel the passion. I mean, he definitely has some passion about music, and I want people to experience this passion.
It's almost like tasting the rainbow, and then tasting the ocean afterwards. It's tasting a lot of water, basically. That's what we're trying to say.
There you go. But yes, definitely enjoy the track, people, and we will see you on Tuesday for the next episode of Rick and Morty.
I was gonna say, always be sure to support the artist. We always put their links on there, so be sure to buy their tracks, support their tracks, follow them on Twitter. Also follow us on Twitter as well too, at @DebateAmongFra. Follow our Facebook, facebook.com/debatesamongfriends. Our Instagram, instagram.com/debatesamongfriends. You can follow Doc Ocean at TL myself at Kin86, and you can also follow Senor October on his Twitter page, JC Urbanist. We are still working on getting the Duke his Twitter account, but it will happen. We guarantee it. We guarantee it.
Dude, as long as there are still pigeons in the sky, I'm good. You just need to go find a pigeon, tie your message to it, and eventually it will get to me.
And you see why he needs a Twitter account, ladies and gentlemen. It's quotes like
I'm old school.
this.
I don't blame him though. But let's go ahead.
But thank you very much once again for catching us. Be sure to catch myself and the Duke every single Tuesday night. We don't know what time. We do whatever we want. But always catch us on Wednesday night at between 8:15 and 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on YouTube and on Twitch. And we'll catch you again next time. I am the Professor John Gotti.
And this is the Doc.
Word.
Peace out, guys.
And we'll catch you all again next time. Same podcast time, same podcast channel. Peace and love.
Out of the way you dream. I don't love the way you dream. I don't love the way you dream. I don't love the way